welcome to my channel. I'm Polish Agnes. I'm your host for today. And today we are talking with Christopher Lancia. I hope I get it right.
Yeah, you got it right. That's the Italian
word. And you are a candidate for Congress for District 3 in Connecticut.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, that's me.
Yes, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I was super happy when you said yes, that you want to talk to me on my channel. Hopefully we can distribute this video and make sure that people know that you're running. And we're talking about the election in 2026.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for asking me. It was a pleasure to be here tonight.
Yeah, of course. So as everyone knows, Connecticut is kind of a small, really small state. So we have about 3 million plus people here. And you are running for District 3, which is kind of a little funny how they divided this. Let me just screen.
Yeah, it's a weird shape
here. Yeah. So
you see it, how it goes all the way up, stops, and then kicks back over. And it takes
I know, right?
Like,
it's just so funny how it's like positioned, to be honest.
When they cut the seats back, there's a big Italian population here. And Rosa kept the Italians. Because Italian people are going to vote for Italians, or they're not going to vote at all. So that's just how it is, you know. And she knew that. So like, there's parts of Waterbury at the time were heavily populated, which she kept, like Mark Carmel Church and all that. So it's weird. Like, I have a piece of Waterbury. I don't have the whole. I have a piece of Prospect. So it gets a little confusing on the lines. I got to find out exactly what we did, because when I was helping Margaret with her campaign, Stryker, we ended up getting signatures because we were like one street over, and the signatures got thrown off. So it becomes a little difficult. It's 426 miles and 786,000 people are in that district to try to win over.
Yeah, it's funny because Waterbury is actually also, I mean, I think bigger part of Waterbury is District 5, which I'm also in District 5. And then it's Naugatuck, I see. You got Seymour, you got Shelton. Do you have Bridgeport, or Bridgeport is out?
No, Bridgeport's out. It starts at Stratford.
So okay, so Stratford, Milford, West Haven, New Haven, Brantford. Guilford is yours?
Yeah, I got Guilford. Stops at
Okay,
Guilford.
North Brantford. Then you have
Durham,
and then looks like a little bit of Middletown, right?
Yeah, the first part of it, like by where the college is, in that area. So
okay, so do you know what's the population exactly?
786,000 people last time I looked.
Oh, okay. District 3. Let's see if I can find some information here. 718, it says, in 2023, the last time the estimate. Another source says 726. So it's a pretty big district.
To have that many people congested in one area.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Two major cities. You got New Haven and Hampden in that area. So you have those two major cities.
New Haven is kind of a little tough. It's like crazy democratic, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what it is? They let New Haven go a long time ago. And, you know, if you're going to win New Haven, Democrats, Independents have to vote for you. And, you know, if you go to certain areas in New Haven, they don't vote. You know, there's only a certain area, like 14,000 people come out to vote a city of 121,000. You know what I mean? I think like 1,200 Republicans in that area. I don't know the exact number, but they're outnumbered. So even if you have a legit race and all the Republicans come and all the Democrats, and if you don't have the unaffiliated, excuse me, you're never going to win that race. And people keep saying, "Oh, you got to go there, you got to change them." They don't change it. I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut, originally, born and raised.
Oh, okay. Bridgeport is tough.
And I know that, and I know all the players over there. I was taught by Mario and Joe, and I worked on their kids as a kid. My father was very active in it, and zoning board, and even ran for mayor against Joe Gannon. Joe beat him. You know, it was a lot of shady stuff goes on, and People don't realize that Connecticut's extremely corrupt. One of the most corrupt voting districts in the country. I was out in Vegas
Yeah.
with Joe Hoff. I don't know if you ever heard of the Punch It. It's an internet news agency. Joe Hoff and Jim Hoff, and they had a big event out in Nevada with Roger Stone and Mike Flynn and all these people. The Pillow Guy, my Pillow Guy, and we're talking. It's so corrupt in the state, and it has been. Yeah, you can ask
Yeah.
Lamont. His first election, all of a sudden they found 100,000 absentee ballots in Bridgeport.
Yes, I know. I had a lady here that was talking about the new Connecticut, machines for the election that they bought. And I also went about the fraud, and the most fraud that has happened in Connecticut, it was in Bridgeport.
Bridgeport and
Like,
Waterbury.
yeah, they found it twice, and I think one time they redid the whole entire election actually,
Yeah,
because they
ongoing.
found
Yeah,
they
last
found
one was
so
ongoing.
much.
So,
Okay, so what else I see here is you have about 62% white, 15% black or African American, 15% Hispanic, 6% Asian, and 2% the rest of the races that exist. Then also median household income is around $83,000, and it says higher than the national average. I mean, this is an expensive state, so I wouldn't really take the national average as comparable to Connecticut.
I know.
Yeah, education, high educational, home to major universities like Yale, because yeah, New Haven, and also Southern Connecticut State University.
UConn.
And yeah, and political scene here, it says heavily Democratic. It's considered a safe blue district. Oh my goodness. And your opponent or a current congresswoman is Rosa De Lauro. I think I said it right. And she is in office since 1991.
Yeah.
Usually with more than 60% votes, which is a lot, actually, supporting her since 91. I think she was born in 1946 or 43, something like that.
She's 82, so she'd have to be like
Yeah.
43, I would think. 40. My dad was
Yes.
38, and he's 86 now, or 87.
Yeah. Huh. Wow. That's a really long time for a person to be in Congress. A
Yes.
really long time.
18 elections.
Um, mhm. Also, what I found here is the district has strong union presence and a large public sector workforce. Um, hmm. Local issues and priorities. Economic revitalization of post industrial cities, which New Haven and West Haven, affordable housing and homelessness, transportation infrastructure, Interstate 95 congestion. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes.
Commuter rail improvements, climate resilience and coastal flooding protection, education funding, and workforce training. I really do not know a lot about your district because to be honest, me personally, I very rarely really even go to these areas. Probably New Haven. I probably party a couple times in New Haven, like 15 years ago or something.
They have really good
And
restaurants. I like the town.
that's about it. And so I'm going to rely on you to try to tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you really think of doing for the district if you get elected.
I'm 54 years old. I work for a VP of operations for DTI. I also own my own cable consultant company that I started with a friend of mine. I did a little over 2 years in the Coast Guard. I signed in. I had was out hurt. I had removed 3 tumors from the side of my face, so I was out. They pensioned me out. I went back to school, got my degree when I was 50, my bachelor's degree. I have 2 amazing children. My son Christopher, who's 13, and my angel Angela, who's 11. I reside in Milford now. I've been active in politics since I was a kid. Never ran for office. Always wanted to like be the background and study. I did anything from stuffing envelopes to putting signs up to actually being an advisor on a congressional campaign when Margaret ran. So I've been on this race before. It's not the first time that I did it. Um, like I said, I act with my kids with their sports, my friends. I love to work out, train, and my my goal is to bring back a couple different things. One is good paying jobs back in the state of Connecticut, because outside of Sikorsky's, you really don't have anything. So if we don't start bringing something in for that, Sikorsky's crippled. Like we just got lucky. Trump and then the administration put $11.9 billion on some work, and then I guess the Coast Guard now, which is my alma mater, they ended up doing something where they were bringing in some money too, but they could pick up and leave at any time. Just because they have the contract doesn't mean that in Connecticut. We need to find a break for the senior citizens. How do you live? You pay taxes your whole life. You pay into Social Security. Now they want to tax your Social Security. There should be no tax on Social Security. You paid into it. Somebody said, "Oh, I think Elon Musk called it a Ponzi scheme." It really is to an extent, because me and you are paying for the ones before us, and we're paying in. And it just goes that way. And they've used it for other things besides, you that work for it. So I want to take, and I also education. I'm huge on that. We need to bring back sensible things to schools. They don't the home economics. Nobody teaches kids how to balance a checkbook. When I was in high school,
Yes, I know.
I write a check. You know what I mean? And I'm really big on programs that trade schools. You got to work with your hands. There's nothing wrong with being a plumber or an electrician or anything like that. And within those confinements, you want to teach a little bit about business, because if they want to go on their own and be contractors, I'm huge with the veterans. We don't do enough for veterans. I don't care what anybody says.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I've been extremely fortunate that the VA took care of me with my, they pensioned me out and they take care of my health, and which I'm very, very proud of. And, I have nothing but good things to say, especially in West Haven. I mean, they're phenomenal, everybody up there. And we need to do more. We shouldn't have to have 11 organizations outside of the VA taking care of veterans. Between American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, and Tunnel of Towers, you send our people to war, or not even serving, you should take care of them. And there's a lot of other stuff, that comes in to play law enforcement. They're not being respected. They're not getting any tools they need to do the job. Where are all these federal grants we used to have, for seatbelt laws and traffic stops and car seats for kids, or drug enforcement? When you drive up and down, you're from the Britain, you drive up and down the highway, you don't even see state troopers no more. This governor took away the qualified immunity, which technically is illegal, which, and made the police officers responsible. So those are some of the things I want to get. Let the police officers do their job. Let's get some good education, and let's look for good paying jobs. I don't want a factory where a guy makes $9 an hour, or a woman makes $9 an hour. They need to make an average wage. Me and you were talking, what they say, 80,000 is the minimum, 83,000. Yes. So how are you going to do that on $12, $13 an hour? And you can't make minimum wage $30 an hour. That's not realistic. All right, and those are the places I want to go. A lot more programs like the 4-H when I was a kid, where they send the kids away to go to school. Like if you weren't doing good in school, they would send you away. You get the GED and you get a trade. Those are all important, and they all went to the wayside.
Yeah, I do believe at some point colleges really became so popular that everyone wanted to go to college. And now we have a problem because people have extreme debt, from going to college. And then they don't really make the money that they were thinking they were going to. It's like $25 they're asking for, bachelor degree. Which is it's a little sad, to be honest, because in my opinion, if you're going to college and you spend 5 years of your life studying, and then you spend $100,000, like $40, $50 an hour, that should be like minimal pay, because of the fact that you have spent all this time trying to, better your career, your knowledge, your everything. And that's unfortunately is not happening. At least it's not happening here in Connecticut, because I tried looking for jobs, although I don't have an education from here in the United States. But I see what they post. I see that they're asking for college, but they're not they're not offering good money for that college. So it
It all
almost
depends
feels like
on,
it's not even worth it.
it all depends
And
on
then,
what you took in.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, if you took like psychology or some like something, easy, none of these jobs are really paying jobs. And
No.
then so another thing, $83,000, I think for a household, that's not really that much.
No.
It's like, 40 something thousand dollars per person, and that just seems like being so close to New York, because your district is a lot closer to New York than, let's say, the other part, the District 2, for example. I'm a little surprised, because it's funny, I think when I talked to someone else who is running for District 2, their household income, I think, was $10,000 more, and they are living away, from New York. Whenever you mention, New York City, like an hour within New York City, I immediately think that people are going to make more money there, because also real estate there is a lot more than what it is, around here, which I'm in New Britain. So I'm more centralized. And whenever I look at Milford, like those houses are a lot more expensive.
Yeah, I got in at a good time. When I got in, it was just before the COVID boom, and like 6 months after I bought my house, everything skyrocketed. And then after
Yeah.
COVID, and it's a great town. I mean, we turned Democrat the other night, but it's still a great city. Um, there's always a lot to do in Milford. The people, are good. I have no complaints. I mean, everybody has their own mindset, but it changed a little bit during COVID. A lot of New Yorkers
Mhm.
came in, and they offered people a lot of money for their houses, and they sold out. So I don't plan on going anywhere right now. So I'm thinking, I'm expecting another big boom in the marketplace in Connecticut after New York City. But I want to let that play out, because that kid is going to understand that he can't do the things that he said. There's a lot of people in red tape, just that
Yeah.
people that don't think and don't educate themselves on the person they're voting for, just voted out of instinct and intuition. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see what's going on. And, we were blue states too. So, and we're not even blue. We're purple Connecticut. If you look, there's a ton of unaffiliated. But the biggest
Chris,
challenge we have is nobody came
I
out to
don't
vote.
know.
No, if you look at the numbers, the
After
unaffiliated,
Tuesday.
we're more believable, and it's gone. But the problem with the Republican Party is there's too much egos, there's too much fighting. Like I did this on my own. I came in, I knew the right players, the right people. I have a lot of good friends I grew up with,
Hmm.
family members that joined in. So I don't have to go through the parties. They're fighting with each other left and right. A lot of, you can't fight to win. And I'll say this now, and I'll say it 1,000 times. I've always said Republicans beat Republicans, not the Democrats. They won't organize. Everybody's got this big ego. I'm so and so. The RTCs need a really clean house. Because when you're running for a congressional race, it's a big race. It's 26 towns. It's a lot of
Yes.
going.
Yes.
And you go into these towns, and what chairman doesn't call you back? What chairman does? And you know, you got a congressional race. You should get behind them.
Hmm.
And we still have 46 seats that were uncontested for the state.
Yeah.
That's a big issue. So we need to get people to run. It's tough. You got to have thick skin. One lady's saying to me today, why'd you take a picture standing in front of a sign that said Trump's your daddy? I didn't even see the sign behind me. Let me say, take
Hmm.
a picture. I said, if that's your biggest worry, then you really got a problem, because there's a lot more issues going on, like homelessness, cashless bail. There's a lot of things to worry
Hmm.
about than me standing behind a sign, in front of a sign that says Trump's your daddy or something like that. I forgot what the exact wording was. So you want to ask me a legit question, like she did, about what I think about religion.
Hmm.
Christian, God, Jesus, my savior. I don't hide it from anybody. But
Yeah.
religion has to be separated from politics. But we're a land that was built because people wanted religious freedoms.
Yeah.
But it doesn't belong, in DC, in the capital. It does where you want to believe, and you should have that every right, because that's what people came here for. So, you ask a legit question, I'll give it to you. But you have to have thick skin when you're running. People say some really harsh and crazy things to you. You look and say, "Are you kidding me?"
Hmm. It's tough, because it just seems like, I mean, most of Republicans or whoever I really meet everyone, is speaking highly about God, and they believe in God, and religion is basically very important to them.
Yeah.
When I meet a Democrat, usually that is not the case, and they have completely different, values or principles. You may say, they fight for completely different things, and this country is like crazy divided, crazy. And now with the elections that we had on Tuesday, we flipped 29 seats, from Republican to Democrat. And I was a little unhappy about this, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I thought, to be honest, that we are a lot more purple here than I was expecting. And I was hoping that at least I'm not going to lose the Republican mayor and they picked the Democratic mayor, and I'm wondering now if I'm going to be the one who's going to pay more taxes because my mill rate is going to go up. And whenever that happens, our personal property taxes and real estate taxes are going up. And to be honest, we are already high here in New Britain. The mill rate here is 49.5, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
We were at 51 at some point, but the mayor already lowered it after we get our assessments, a couple years, I think, back. And she actually proposed a new budget that was supposed to lower the middle rate to, I think, 39. Now we get someone who's a Democrat, and as we know, Democrats love to spend money on things that are really not necessary. And I'm worried that my life is going to turn into nightmare because for 12 years this city was Republican, and I to be honest, I'm not extremely religious or anything like this. I am definitely conservative, but whenever Democrats get into like the office, I'm worried that like our like religion and God and all the principles that we stand for, that they're going to be completely lost. And I don't know, someone can be in Congress for that many years, So she was elected in 1991, that lady, Rosa Del Loro, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm thinking, is she even connected with reality at this point? Like with what?
I don't think she ever really was, to be honest with you. She's always been a progressive. When she got elected, her best friends were Nancy Pelosi, who uses a picture of her hugging her. You had Bernie Sanders at the time. She was with Maxine Waters. So she's always been that way. But Rosa had a mother that ran with an iron fist. She was very, very well known. She was like the queen of Worcester Street. So, and she was controlling on her family. So she wasn't as that wild, and she actually did some good stuff when she first got in. But again, you get poisoned when you're in DC too long. Term limits are a must and they're a necessity. Somebody said to me one day, well, there are term limits, there are elections. When elections are crooked and nobody votes, what happens is you let somebody get too much power. So you got to cut them off. Okay. Even because if you don't vote me out and I'm there too long, you get corrupt. So I think 6 years as a House rep is more than enough.
Yeah,
maybe
definitely.
8 on top of a senator, because anything after that, if you're not passing bills, like how many in 40 years would she pass? Maybe 3 or 4 bills. Yeah, when she was appropriations chairman, she did dump a bunch of money, but nobody knows where the money went. And we got a governor that's getting the money, no guardrails where it goes, and he spends $1.6 billion on supposedly 1.2 or 1.6 on illegals. So yeah, I could bring it in, but where's it go? So that's
I want to show everyone who are we really talking about, because it's funny. Also, her appearance, is kind of really democratic. So let me just share something real quick, and let's just talk about this video and some stuff that they're mentioning. Okay, let me just share it real quick, and let's see if I can play it. Here.
Well, I'm happy to report our favorite blue hair 18-term Democrat Congresswoman is back in action here representing her party.
$8 billion a month for SNAP, okay? We have 5 to 6. You bet we could find the rest of the money to do that. And so what they want to say for politics is that it's the Democrats that don't want to feed your kids. The money is there. Go get it.
But Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins says her department does not have that kind of money.
I am the ranking member on the Appropriations Committee, and I promise you that there is funding available to provide SNAP benefits beyond November 1st. And instead of lifting the hopes and the aspirations of people of the United States, of how we move forward as the great nation that we are, what the vision for our future was, it devolved into just vindictiveness and self-adulation on behalf of Donald Trump. It did not address the issue of unchecked billionaires like his friend, ally, and Elon Musk. It was not a speech befitting a great world leader or a great president of the United States. Oh, this is the ranking Rizzler on appropriations. Democrats are making life smoother through government funding. It's giving it. So Sigma, main character energy. See how I keep you informed? Very cutesy, very demure.
While we're watching the latest from this wacky Democrat, what's with her wall? Is that how she decorates?
This is an area I've written to you about, of the use of female dummies in crash testing.
Yep, this is the Democrat who complained about male crash test dummies.
The Democrats are in the minority in this body. When you have the pen, which is what the Republicans have, they write the bill. They write the bill. They post the bill. They agreed on a bill. President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it.
Congresswoman, thank you for being with us today. In the break, I said, oh, I'm so glad we have Congresswoman Laura, because she's just going to give it to us straight.
Do I believe there are some of my Republican colleagues that feel the same way? Yes, but they're scared. They're scared to death to stand up. You are negotiating with terrorists. Of dangerous illegal drugs like fentanyl.
As I was attempting to answer your question very calmly, unlike you.
Excuse me, Madam Attorney General. Answer yes or no. Tell me what the numbers are. I don't want to hear all of your filibuster about this. Go ahead, please tell us the numbers.
So we are reorganizing. ATF agents want to be out on the street.
Okay,
working
let me
with
answer the
DEA
question
agents,
for you.
Oh!
I'm going to answer it for you. Page. Mr. Chairman, you give me a certain amount of time, and I have a high respect for you, but I don't have to listen, nor do my colleagues have to listen to a filibuster when it's a simple question.
Oh!
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
That's it.
That's hysterical. You got to send me that because I could use it when I'm done the campaign. I don't know what. She's an embarrassment to the state of Connecticut, and me being an American Italian like her is a disgrace to our nationality. To act like that, because Italians aren't like that. We're hardworking, people. We come from, immigrants that respected our country. She talks about stuff she doesn't even know. She didn't even know that school lunches didn't come from the Board of Education, Department of Education. They come from agriculture. So she has no clue as somebody who's been in office for 41 years. Screaming and yelling doesn't do anything. And part of that conversation that they missed was they were asking about 38% in reduction of the budget. And she was screaming, why do you have to save 38,000? Any business-minded person is always trying to save money and do, and rearrange. I graduated from the Federal Law Enforcement Academy back in 2017. So I was at DOD. So there's always been talk about merging a lot of these agencies because I think there was 96 or 98 that are doing the same thing repetitious. So why wouldn't you take and save 38%, move them agents into the field, and then use that money for other stuff like grants and loan, for local, and give that back to the local community, because the local cops and state troopers and stuff, they're on the front line. The feds are there to help out, but they're the main, the focus of it. So she has no clue how to run a business. She's never created a job. They think by creating a job is by hiring 30 people to go work at the post office. That's not creating a job. And sometimes in business, I've had to do it myself the last year or so. We didn't buy a new truck, or we laid off a couple people, to make things go. And then when things got better, you make it happen. But again, when you never created a job, because government doesn't really create jobs. They don't. And they were using all the people they hired within the government as job market was going up and job employment. And it's not true. So she has no clue how to run a business. All she knows how to do is print money. And what do you do when you print too much money? You get inflation. And that's what we have, because we're spending way too much. They don't know how to they don't know how to save money. You got to save. There's no tax problem. There's a spending problem. And that needs to come to a head,
I also see here that she voted yes for Halt All Lethal Trafficking of Fentanyl Act, February 2025, which passed. So I am trying to figure out what this bill was exactly about. I think it was under the bill, offenses involving fentanyl-related substances are triggered by the same quantity thresholds and subject to the same penalties as offenses involving fentanyl analogs. Sometimes I don't understand these acts, or the bill also makes several other changes to registration requirements for conducting research with controlled substances, including permitting a single registration for related research sites in certain circumstances. So I guess this is good that she voted yes on this. She also voted yes on American Cooperation with Our Neighbors Act. I do not even know what that means. What kind of act that was.
a lot of those bills like that, they become shell companies, They do.
But just what she voted on in 2025. So the Fentanyl Act, Office of National Drug Control Policy, Reauthorization Act. She voted yes. She voted yes also American Cooperation with Our Neighbors Act, illicit Captagon, I don't even know what that means. Trafficking Suppression Act. I mean, honoring the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk, and that's it. That's it. That's all she voted in. She didn't vote anything else. It's crazy. I mean, there's nothing important.
No, nothing in there. I mean, there's but there's not a lot that she.
I mean, I can't find anything substantial for this lady, to be honest. I'm scouring the internet right now, and
she was always a solid vote. That's why they kept her. She would do it. Like she said, her Republican colleagues are afraid to go against Republicans. She don't open her mouth against the Democrats either. Because I was in East Haven when I first started running, and she used to go around with a camera with the guy from Channel 8. And I cornered her in there, and I asked her, I said, why are you lying about the VA? There's no cuts to the VA. There's, when we were coming in with Doge and all that stuff. And we're going back and forth. And I said, well, you voted all the time for a CR when Biden was president. Mm-hmm. Now, when Trump came in, you don't want to vote for the same exact CR. They changed nothing to the CR. And you're saying it's no good. The only thing that changed was Trump. So you're lying. I said, and then she called me something in Italian. I had a laugh. It was kind of funny. And I said to her, you tell these poor people behind me that they're going to lose their Social Security. They're not losing anything. And you have so much money, you're not even going to use Social Security. So what are you using these fear mongering? And if you ever notice, Rosa DeLauro never shows facts. She tells you that things are no good and that you're going to lose this, but she never comes and shows you where in the bill that it says you're going to lose it, what was shut down, who lost their job. None of that. She just yells and points, and she thinks that people are going to believe her because that old saying, "Those that yell the loudest have the most to hide." I don't know how you or her husband made so much money on that polling business that he had. I'm sure she had something to do with it, helping her out with it. I mean, he knows a lot of people. Rosa does know a lot of people, so it happens. But
yeah.
his business wasn't illegal. It's been on the up and up, but he just made a ton of money, through that. It had to be through her. I mean, he didn't know. I don't know who he knows. So there's a lot that goes on with that, and it's time for a change. Like you said, she's lost with reality. You can tell by the videos what's important to people. What they tell her to say, she says. I just don't get why she wants to run. Somebody asked me, what would I ask her next time I see her? You know what? Why don't you retire? What more can you get?
Yes.
Money. You have this. You have my understanding. I never seen it, but I heard she's a beautiful home in Italy. She traveled back then, and she speaks fluent Italian and everything. So,
Okay.
I don't know why you got. I don't get it. You're 82. Enjoy it. Go put your grandkids. Let's us some newcomers come fight it out, whether it's Republican or Democrat. Let the newcomers come in with they're a little more in touch with what's going on with the nation right now. And but she wants to stay in the fight. I give her that. I've never bashed her in any way. I don't believe in making fun of people, and I don't say nasty things. I don't want them done to me, but I will challenge her, like I told her.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, those are the reasons why. Everybody in Connecticut knows that her base died a long time ago. There's no way people my age never vote for her. But yet, if you look at the numbers every year, they're the same amount. They're the same exact amount from the poll. 14,000 people come out for a mayor, but 35,000 come out for her. Doesn't make sense. So all that mail-in ballot, and hopefully, from my understanding, is Trump is trying to put a stop to all of that, and we can have a little bit of a more legit campaign.
So I also see here that people, what they're critiquing her for is that she focuses heavily on progressive social safety net issues, but may not emphasize other voter concerns like job losses, infrastructure, local economic, disruption. I mean, I went through a round, and not one time I've seen her talking about jobs. Like, I mean, maybe I didn't read that much, but I really don't see anything here that would, implement, oh, hey, or even like the rights, except like this female dummy things, that, was shown in the video.
Well, like I said, she doesn't know how to create a job. She's never run a business, so she has no clue. She's not broke, so she doesn't know how to struggle from paycheck to paycheck, and what you're saving money for your kids. And so she's, like I said, she's been out of touch for a long time. She doesn't talk about any of the issues. She's very progressive. She's more worried about feeding people. Listen, SNAP program has 42 million people on it. What are we doing? It's supposed to be an assistance to get you a better job, to get through some bad times, not to be on it for your whole life. So what does she wants to do to correct it? My thing is you have to let people go to work. We have plenty of jobs, and we have to give them training. They get them in education, because it's nothing wrong with it. It's an assistance to get you to another spot. But people are just taking and staying in the same spot. There's a place in New Haven called Bella Vista. It's just everybody on there's some kind of assistance, Social Security and all that. So you campaign throughout, some campaigns we went through there, and each and every one of them is like, I'm not voting for you because you're going to take away everything we had. And these are able-bodied, people younger than me. But the thing that gets me the most is when you drive into Villa Vista, the first thing you see is a liquor store. So they get to get their check and go down, and the liquor store is always packed. Cigarettes and liquor. That's what this money's going towards. That has to change. It has to be check and balance on that. And there is none. Again, here's money. Throw more money on top of stuff. So if your budget calls for $48 million and now you're asking for 100, why are you asking for more money? What didn't you fix with the 48 million? So nobody's looking at what we're doing with this money. They're just printing it and throwing it. And again, nobody knows where it goes. We just had a guy in Connecticut get convicted to governor's aid. Got convicted on all charges. Stealing money, getting bribes. You got to start locking people up, and they'll start thinking twice. So there's a lot that has to go into it, which she doesn't pay attention to.
Right.
We have homelessness is a huge issue. A lot of that homelessness comes from mental illness. And
Yeah, I mean, are a huge. I mean, it's really sad what happened to United States. I honestly I see it basically every day. That someone is either high or drunk or they're using. You can just tell, and also like you say, a lot of homeless people, a lot
that's
because of
ridiculous
what happened.
for the most powerful country in the world, supposedly.
Yeah,
Right?
I know.
And when Trump cleaned up the parks, they had 70 federal parks where people in tent city, mental illness, people were coming out attacking people that were trying to use the park. And they gave them an opportunity. You're going to either get help, we'll get you to a job, you're going to go to a shelter, or if not, you're going to go to jail. Those were your choices. You're not allowed, you shouldn't be allowed to stay on the street and hurt people and mug people and then take. I mean, you got a little kid, you're walking, these are national parks. Washington, D.C. is our capital of America. And again, I'm not against using whatever it takes to curb violence. If we need to activate the National Guard, we need to activate them. Law enforcement is not having the tools in the blue towns and the blue cities to do the job. And they like to have a bunch of guards around them. They want all the Capitol Police, and they want the guards that, like Lamont has, I think, like 20 state troopers around them. It's okay for him to have guys with guns around him, but then they want to try to take it from the average person.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm 2A. I've had a gun permit since I was old enough to have one, and I'll have one to the day I die. There's no reason why. In the Constitution, it says, Bear, we shouldn't even have it. I want a federal gun permit. You should be able to carry a weapon, your gun, that you're legal, that you got fingerprinted by the FBI. And I'm in Connecticut, and I drive to New York, and I become a felon.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not right. And in the Constitution, it says right to bear arms, and that right to bear arms was in the United States, not just in one city. I was in Massachusetts working. We were doing a job. We hired some cops, to set the flag for the road, and I'm talking to one. There's a mall in Massachusetts. Half the mall's in Mass, and the other one's in New Hampshire. You walk through, and you're in another state. Guy from Mass had his gun on him, didn't realize it. They arrested him and prosecuted him in the state of New Hampshire, whatever it was. For not having I might vice versa, because New Hampshire's pretty lenient with the gun, and they prosecute him. This guy became a felon for no reason. So that has to stop. We have to let people carry. And another problem is we have 60% of the gun owners in the state of Connecticut. They don't vote.
Yeah.
They won't vote. They'd rather cry about the laws that are being taken from us and hire all these lawyers instead of just vote people in that are 2A. They're going to make sensible gun laws. And you're good. We lost this election. The voting turnout was horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You said 5,000. I don't think Milford had more than. There was a pretty good amount for Milford, but still, and it hurt. The low part.
It does. It does. I mean, we have over 20,000 people that's registered to vote, and New Britain has, I think, 73,000 that live here. So only 5,000 came out of 20.
Look at New Haven, 120,000 people, 121,000.
Right.
Less than 10% came out to vote. And you don't. So, and they know this. Like, if you're a seasoned politician, you've been around a long time, only a pocket of people vote. So you're trying to go and canvass a whole area that you don't need to be, because that part has not voted. So you have to go to the areas that voted and try to convince the unaffiliated to go. And you have to have some excitement to make people come to the polls. And that's what we're going to be planning. You'll see a lot more. I was really going at it in the last couple of weeks. I kind of calmed down because of the locals. Actually, one of my friends called up. She was early voting, and she's arguing with the lady, saying, "You give me the wrong ballot. My friend's not on the ballot." And they said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "My friend's running." Was supposed to.
Oh, she thought it was okay.
It's not 2026.
Yeah.
So I was getting text messages like all day during election. Hey, good luck with the campaign, boy. So I was trying to get the locals elected, so I backed off a little bit the last 2 weeks. But it was hysterical. She called me up. She's like, "There's something wrong." I started laughing. I'm like, "I'm not on to 2026, but I've been campaigning for like the last 6 months. Met all the houses, and I like to get on liberal state radio stations because I want them to hear what I have to say, and the affiliates, and because I believe I got a common sense approach. You say you have all these values, but you just got to have common sense values. You know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, men don't belong in women's sports. Okay, there's no such thing as a transvestite. That's a mental illness. And
Oh
when
my
a
gosh.
parent allows that behavior, you got to look at the parent. My kids, thank God, they know. My son will tell you straight out, and he reads, and he's Christian. He believes in Jesus and God. And my daughter knows she's a girl. And she's a little looks at some things sometimes in a different light than he does, but that's fine. But we correct him, or you have to have your own opinions. But we let in this world go to craziness, and it just has to stop.
Yeah, definitely the transgender ideology has just kind of, I don't know, took over the world, and for some reason it just we do have a lot of people that all of a sudden just within the last 5 years, I would say, decided that they want to change who they are. And I really don't know, because it's a lot easier now to get to the surgery. It's a lot easier to get to all the drugs you need, and I don't necessarily feel that these guys that are trying to get the surgery like that, that they get the proper therapy first, and then second, a proper introduction to how their life are going to look like after, that kind of surgery. That, you're going to be dependent on these drugs for the rest of your life. You may have complications, you may have different type of problems, you may change your mind to go back, to actually know 100% that that's what you want to do. I'm having a hard time to believe that there is so many people that want this, and it was not kind of implemented in their mind somehow by someone.
Indoctrinated. The media is horrible with the propaganda, and you're seeing that some of these kids are regretting it. Like, how do you tell a parent they don't have any rights? Connecticut flew in 30-something kids that were underage without telling the parent and did operations. That's trafficking. That everybody the government should be put in jail, and any doctor. How me as a parent, I'm responsible for my children, and you have the right to take them and mutilate them? They're young. They're not making any sense. So you have to find out, like you said, what's the root cause? Why do you feel like this? Get that out in the open. Give them the treatments they need, because as you're noticing in the news, a lot of the people that done it or have done it are regretting it, and they're having. Even one of the kids that I think was when they shot the school, the church up in Minnesota. He regretted what he did.
Yeah,
but his parents signed when he was 17. The parents should have argued with him a little more and got him a little more help. Why are you acting like this? If you want, and he wasn't raised like that. His mother was a religious teacher and a school teacher, and I'm not saying religion. Listen, I have faith in how I have it and how you do things, but it does help me and how I live my life. But if my son comes up and talks to me, I want to know why. Why are you feeling like this? And no matter what it is, he has never come with that. But when I was a kid growing up, if we didn't make the baseball team or the football team or the basketball, we didn't try out for the girls team.
Yeah.
That was it. You just either went to the gym, got bigger, ate, trained harder, whatever it was, and you went back into sports. So, there was a lot of that. And, that's when you get to the lunatics, because this really is good Democrats. There are really moderate and good Democrats, and then you got the lunatics. Mm-hmm. And that's why I call them lunatics, these progressives and this nuttiness, these signs they hold up, and you have a trans in a kindergarten school with a little kindergarten. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This shouldn't even be a conversation. I mean, that shouldn't even be a conversation. That's a no. We know right from wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that you are not really necessarily mature until you maybe 25, that you can say what do you want in life. I mean, I know that the legal age and stuff is 21, but I mean, just judging, by my choices in life, I started to kind of know where my life would want to go, where I would want to be when I was 25 years old, and if my child ever came to me and they were 60 years old and they started talking to me about stuff like that, I'll be like, I'm sorry, but I mean, we need to wait a little bit to determine, what how. And besides, I think the way how men lately, and especially here in this country, that's what I notice, the provider, the protector, that's all has been literally taken away from guys nowadays. And it's really a lot of women, it's us that they're doing this with guys, because all of a sudden they don't want the masculine guy, the blue collar guy, or a guy that is doing manly things. They want these ladies, like, guys that they can share the first date, bill with, because they're so independent, they want to do everything on their own. And maybe that's great, but then you're just teaching these guys they don't have to be the providers, and that's what the problem is. And so this has been taken away for years now, and it started like this a while back, because I went on a lot of dates in my life, and so I did have guys asking me to split the bill on a first date, and I'm just like, what? And so if you have now guys asking women to do kind of that kind of stuff, or if a woman gets offended because someone wanted to pay for her, this already creates a problem. And I can see that, guys have been babied by their mommies, and they're just also the broken families when the just dads are not around anymore. And I don't want to put the dads in a bad position here, but also it's a court system. When you're divorced,
I went through it. I'm divorced. I have my, I see my kids, and I'm very active in my children's life.
Yeah, but it's really hard for boys to get.
I went to the ringer. I almost lost everything. I lost a career, because the woman could say what they want. Next thing you know, the cops are there, and this one happens, and you're paying, and it was a ringer, and you go through so much money. They break good men that want to be good fathers. The court system breaks it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous how they do it here. I mean, when you divorce, you should have 50% right away.
Automatically 50-50. And
I
tried to get that, the state reps to do that for us here in Connecticut. So 50-50.
Yeah.
A lot of states are doing that now. It also saves on domestics, because what are your biggest fight when you get divorced is about the kids. Like you're taking
kids. Yeah.
But if you have that 50-50 and everybody pays equal, that's fine, because now that I'm divorced, why do I have to pay like all this extra money and then have to pay for my mortgage, my car payments, and then give money every week, every month? I don't care. I take care of my kids. They have access. I give them whatever they want. On top of way more than what I pay for child support. So, I have the means to do it. But at one time, I was struggling because I was paying lawyers and paying the courts, and it's a game. Because one lawyer, they all like each other. They go in the back room and they're talking, and next thing you know, you got a bill for $35,000, and your kids are getting taken. My kids got taken away from me because my ex-wife lied. Like I left them at a park alone, and anybody who knows me, my kids are everything to me.
Of course,
my life, and and I try to make it as normal as possible, being a divorced father. And I have to have it, but now they're getting, them was that teenage years, and they want to do something. But every day I talk to my kids at least 3-4 times a day. Even if I don't agree with my ex-wife, I still make sure that they have to respect their mother, and my son's getting at that age now. He takes a tough guy at 13, 14. He's a great kid, but he's shooting them out a little bit sometimes. So dad's got to step in. But if you break a man like that, and he can't be there, and he doesn't have any money in his pocket, and he can't be there for his kid, now the guy's a bad father. And then, a lot of cases you'll see where, he got broken down so bad, the girl's dating another guy, and they think that guy's going to take care of the kids. Well, those are my kids. My ex-wife got remarried. I get along with the guy. He's a Stanford cop. It's good to my kids. That's good to me. But I make sure that I'm active in everything with my children. So
absolutely, that's the whole another thing that I really don't like this state about. That automatically is just assumed that mother should get the full custody, and the father is just going to see the kids every other weekend, and then you're going to pay child support. And I'm asking why someone has to pay child support and pay, their ex to do your job, basically. I mean, why are we not getting in court? And why is it not 50%, right? So you just have to make arrangements. You can't go far away from each other, find, houses close to each other so they can go to the same school and they can, be in one house and be in the other house. But, it's not like that here. It's crazy how much fathers here have to fight in court
here in New York, Jersey,
get your time. It's crazy. And, whenever I ever was with someone, and I was splitting kids with, and I said, if we ever split, you need to understand, I'm taking you to court for 50% of custody. I said, you are going to be the one who's going to spend 50% of the time with this child, because there's no other way. There's two people that make the baby, so the two people need to take care of it.
What happens is it straps the dads so much that you can't do the things you want to do with your kids. Now I am, my business is taking off and all that stuff like that, but it was rough. I mean, you're working to give what you have to give because you miss the child support payment or you don't do that. And the kids still got to get braces and there's my wife called me up. My daughter had it, $4,600 my end. 6 months before that was my son. So, sometimes you're like, what the hell, but it's your kids and you got to do what you can for them. And thank God every day I make enough, a decent living to support them. But what you go through to get that way is insane. But yes, some guys don't care. They go in the court, they pay $20 a week and they go to, no. So I don't get it how the court, it's so unbalanced and it really needs family court really needs to be revamped because that's the worst feeling I ever felt in court. Like if a judge thought that my facial expression wasn't right, they would, I lost the battle. But what do you think when somebody's trying to take your kids from you? How are you supposed to react? You're tense. You love them. So, but it doesn't come into play. So that was probably one of the worst times of my life. Going through that. But it's over with. But I see my friends going through it now, and I feel the pain. Something's got to change. And if I could do it from the federal level, I'm gonna. Or if I have enough on the state, there has to be a 50. Autumn, you should never have to fight to see your children. Never. No father in this world, unless you're a bum. And you don't want,
yeah, of course, a drug addict or you're a felon or whatever, something like that. But
a father should pay child support if he doesn't want to be in his kid's life. But I pay
exactly.
The cell phone bills, the gym memberships on top of what I give. So why doesn't we split it when we were married? Why don't we split it when we're divorced?
Yeah, exactly.
And if I don't pay, they'll lock me up. If I don't, go adhere to the agreement, then take it out of my check. You know what I mean? But again, it was a rough battle. And if I could do something on a federal level, believe me, I'm going to, at least if I can influence the state. But it should be automatic.
Of course, like even like parental rights, which in this state sometimes are completely taken away. Let's say with the vaccinations here, there is no way you can send your kid to school if you don't vaccinate them. You have to send them to private schools, and that's a big problem. So, the governor taken away the right to, you have to be grandfather in, so you can't write the, and you can't have any exceptions nowadays anymore.
Yeah, they took away their religious exemptions.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's tough. Those vaccines, all of a sudden you got 1,000 vaccines and got more diseases. This stuff happened with the kids and, a lot of it has to do with diet, how you eat, how you feed, all this sugar stuff and all this stuff. Like I said, I really watch how I am now as I got older. The more older I get, the more healthier I got, to keep moving on. So there's a lot to do and there's a lot to fix. And that's why I tell everybody I need, support. I'm out there. I actually got a text after the election. If I was you, I would drop out of the race. I said, why would I drop out of the race? Was the Republic? I don't care about that election. That's their election. This is mine. I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Here for the long haul. Win, lose, or draw. I'm coming. Yeah. My goal is to beat her. I have a lot of people that are backing me and invested in me. I'm going to just wake up and say, "Oh, wow, we got beat. I'm done." That's a quitter, and that's why we're in the position we're in because people don't think together. But I'm in it for all the way into next November. And next time my friend goes to vote, my name will be on the ballot. and she doesn't have
Yeah.
where my buddy is, and it was hysterical when she called me.
Yeah.
But that's what they said. So the last 2 weeks, I kind of just went and campaigned and walked with other people, and try to get them. And Waterbury got some people elected to the alderman board. That's crazy. Waterbury, for just an alderman election, because they their mayor's 4 years, close to 18,000 people came out to vote.
Wow.
For an alderman election.
Yeah.
Not even a mayor election. Stratford, I don't know how they're voting, but they ended up losing Laura Poindexter. She's out. Tony Giantassi.
Yeah.
Rich Smith beat them. And listen, I congratulate everybody, win or lose, because to put yourself out here to run is not easy. It is a different kind of challenge, but it's worth it in the end, no matter what. And you should run. It's a lot of people died for our right to vote, for our right to be, to be American citizens and have this opportunity, which I'm extremely humbled by with the support I have. People calling asking questions.
Yeah, I have someone who's spamming my.
Well, they want to know.
I have to block them. I don't know. They were just spamming my chat, It's just, I don't know. It's weird. So I just blocked them right now because I can see the chat on my right side of my studio, and
okay.
I just see this like huge messages about absolutely nothing, and I'm just like,
oh, they start with this craziness.
So what else I was going to ask you is, what do you think about this whole entire SNAP benefits and government shutdown craziness?
The government never should have been shut down.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're hurting a lot. Now look at the air. This what's making dangerous is the flights. I worked three plane crashes when I was in the Coast Guard. Not a pretty sight. I don't trust this. You're not paying people. Your police officers, DA, that should never shut down because of programs like SNAP. Maybe you don't agree with it, or you don't agree, but that's part of the negotiation. And the Democrats are holding it up, and I don't know why people are arguing with it. Every Republican has voted for it. We're only being held up because of the Democrats. So it shows it all over national news who voted for who, and they still blaming the Republican. Rosa DeLauro screaming about Trump. Trump has nothing to do with this. He sat down. Who knows what's going on? But no, SNAP is an assistance program, and it should have never been shut down. It should never been taken. Now, but here's my thing. We need to get better programs so that people aren't that reliable, because that's socialism. I feed you or I starve you. And that's not what government's about, not this country anyways. You're supposed to be like, I'll be honest with you, this government shutdown really isn't affecting me. My business is in the fiber business and the cable business. We stay working. I could care less to fly. I'll get my car and drive to Key West. But it's not like that for everybody. And we need to know, but we need to get the people off of SNAP that, again, assist them to get to where they need to be. Give them a good job, give them a school, give them training. I don't like that the government shut down. And if I was a senator I would never, I don't care what party was in charge, I would never vote to shut the government down. I was in the Coast Guard. We got coasties not getting paid, military people at war right now and not away from their homes, or in submarines right now under the water, and they're not getting anything. And it's not the right thing to do. It really isn't.
Yeah, I know. And air traffic controllers, I just read that Boston is going to shut down 10% of flights because of that, because people are just not coming to work.
Listen, you're not getting paid. What are you going to do? So what do? You got to do something. So you're going to find at least a part-time job. The bank knows what's going on, but they don't care.
Exactly. I was just going to say that everyone is worried about SNAP benefits, that they're not going to eat. They're hungry.
$169 a month. I hate to tell people. Most SNAP benefits that's it. I spend more than I'm a single guy.
I know.
So it's part of it, but SNAP was supposed to be for nutrition. But when they're in the bodegas in Bridgeport and New Haven and the stores, and these seem to be, it's a con game too. All these programs were put in place for good reasons. There were two different reasons. One, they wanted to control people. Two, it was to help people too. And then people get and they take advantage of it, and they make a good thing a bad thing because there's nobody watching. There's nobody going to jail for what they're doing. You know what I'm saying, or being in part of that. And I'm really worried about like the kids not having food.
Yeah.
But again, why are we in this position in a country like we are?
But what about someone, someone like you right now, let's say that is divorced, right?
Mhm.
Has to pay child support and now is not getting paid.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, that child support, you got to pay it weekly, right? So
No, I
that
actually
child
pay my
support,
monthly. I've never missed. Me and my ex-wife
oh,
agreed that.
monthly? Okay. I
I
think
give her a
some
month.
people just pay weekly because I think it's taken out from their
The
paycheck
check.
or something like that. And I also, I think that if you don't pay it, it shows up on your credit as well.
Oh yeah. That's just
So, I
a lot of
mean, if you're not getting paid, I mean, there's a lot of people that there's a lot that's really getting screwed, and a lot of people who are not going to be able to eat. If you are keeping a government shutdown and you're not paying people for a whole entire month,
What do you
I mean,
expect
are
them to do?
these people going to eat? Are these people going to pay their mortgages, their child support? Like, what is going on with that?
How
Why
are
is
they
no one
protected?
talking about these guys?
What about the person that's never missed a mortgage payment, but now
Exactly.
and now they got bad credit, so now they're
Yeah.
screwed down. That this is insane. There has to be. There's no to protect the person because 400 or 600 people in Congress, or whatever is, are stopping the rest of the country. So no, it has to open up. Now they need to get rid of the filibuster. And I'm not a big fan of that. I think it's a guardrail. But if that's what's going to feed the rest of America, then they need to get rid of that. Because you know what, the Democrats are going to get rid of it the minute they get in power. If they were to get in power again, so just get it done. These are people. Now, I'm worried, like I said, about the kids and the elderly. You're a little bit younger, you can fast a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But the elderly, the babies, the milk formula. Some babies can't have breast milk; they have to have formula or diapers. This is ridiculous. And like you said, I missed a child support payment. All of a sudden, they're knocking on my door, and I'm getting arrested for that. Nothing I could do about it. I was going to lose my house if I didn't make that payment.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do? So, you know what? If they do a government shutdown, nobody in Congress should be getting paid right now. Why in the hell are they getting paid? Why is Nancy Pelosi getting a paycheck who's worth $70 million and you got people starving? So they want to blame them. You shouldn't get a paycheck either. Even though most of them, people don't realize, most politicians that are in there are rich. So even if you took the salary, it's not going to hurt them.
Yeah.
But there are some that are, it's their salary. You know what I mean? But most of them have money, so they're not going to be hurt by it. But still, they shouldn't get a paycheck either. Take that money and feed SNAP with it. Whatever their paychecks are, how much money put into the SNAP program. And I think the SNAP program is like $8 billion a month. That's crazy. But Connecticut has a rainy day fund of $4.6 million. $4.6 billion. I think I saw on the news the other day. So Lamont got to let that fly. That's our money. That's our state money. Your people are in trouble. You need to help them. That's not your money, Lamont. You need to let it fly. There's articles I read, like 7 different articles. It was between 1.2 to 1.6 billion dollars he spent on illegals. And people say, don't use that word. Well, that's the only word they are. They're not undocumented. They came here illegally. Okay, so they didn't have documentation to be here. I was asked a question today online about due process. And the Constitution is written all persons. It was actually really written for slavery, because we didn't have rights then, not meaning for other people to come in countries and stuff, but all persons that are here. So that's fine. I don't care what you are, where you come from. But what people don't realize is when these agents are coming after you, there's a warrant. You've been through due process, right? So you've had all your steps and a judge ordered you out of the country. So now the INS is coming to get you. The other ones that got rounded up, they were breaking the law. So they were arrested and now their due process starts.
Yeah, right.
So they're not understanding that. You want to yell, we're kidnapping people like Establos. No, you're not. There's warrants. These people were ordered to leave a year ago, 2 years
10
ago.
years ago, even.
Listen, you come from another country. My grandparents did too. You come the right way. If you've been here 25 years and you didn't get papers, that's your problem.
Yeah.
You got educated because your kids were born here. They could have told you how to get your paperwork. So that's on you. You took the easy way out. Because I have a lot of immigrants that work for me, Ukrainian, Brazilian. I have Caribbean, whatever, because we hire, they're all legal. And the ones that aren't, I can't hire you. That's another thing. Shouldn't be hiring illegals to work because they're hurting the economy.
Yeah, that's right. I do know a lot of people. There is a lot of people, Polish, and Ukrainian here in New Britain, and there is a lot of illegal people here. And I also knew some of them that were already ordered a deportation, but somehow they were able to manage that with the lawyers, and they actually got married, and then the deportation was removed. And they all got green cards and stuff like that, because for a very long time only getting married was the only way of getting your situation straightened out.
I think I would
Because
go back before I get married again.
yeah, I mean, there was like work visas, and they were a lot easier for a very long time, and also your employer could sponsor you if you actually were
Yeah, as
illegal.
long as
They
you work
could
for
still sponsor
that.
you, but then they took that all away, and becoming a resident or a permanent resident, which is a green card, or then the citizen later, it became really, really, really tough and hard. And I heard even Trump was trying to remove sponsoring your closest family, your immediate family, which would be your parents or your kids or your
Kid or
wife.
uncle or aunt or something
And
like
I
that.
was like, whoa, like,
I
hold
don't
on a
agree with that.
second. I mean,
I
what
don't.
are you doing? I mean, that's a little too crazy, I
If
mean,
you're
because
gonna come
I'm the
here
one
legal,
who
yeah, no.
who sponsored my dad for a green card, but if I sponsor my dad for a green card, I'm giving him social security number. He's the one who's going to work hard. I mean, he is not here anymore, but those are the hardworking people, and those people are also needed here in the United States. I agree with getting rid of whoever is illegal here, and is using the system. I have no problem with that, absolutely.
Yeah, criminals.
But if people still want to come here legally, because they're looking for a better life, and they're able to figure out a way, with how they can be sponsored for work visa, because some of the different type of positions, you're not able to find an American for that. Like, for example, there are Polish stores, right? And there is a Polish way of baking, or Polish way of making bread, or Polish way of making whatever else. You cannot just find an American chef that's going to know how to do those things.
Mm.
It's just
Look at
really
these
hard.
guys. We were the same way. We had the delis, the restaurants, but now
Yeah,
you
it's
go
same thing with Italian stuff. All your
with
baking and stuff.
Chinese. But,
Do you think you find an American guy that can do all this? No. Like, it's gonna be really hard. So I mean, those are just an examples that I really have. I'm pretty sure that there are more positions. And hey, if you're able to find a company who needs someone like this, and they sponsor you, and then you come here, you make your life here, and you want to then stay, I mean, that shouldn't be really that big of a deal. But like, just letting people in here for 4 years freely without checking, their
giving them
criminal history and all that,
giving them
that's just
full benefits and everything else. I got
way
one of
too
my partners at
crazy.
work. The Medicare is giving his mother a problem, but if she was an illegal, she'd get everything she wanted. And that's
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
nobody should be left to die. I mean, I don't care what you are, if you're a human being. So even if you were illegal, you can get it, but you can't stay here after we know you're illegal, and we make you better. Now you got to go
yeah.
home. You're healthy, and you come back the right way. I had guys at work I had to let go. They had to leave because they let their visas expire, and now they had to get taken away, or they don't
Yeah.
tell us. Then here comes INS, and they grabbed two of my guys one day up in Pennsylvania about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. They let their visas expire. It's like, dude, you
Wow.
got to
Like
work.
their tourist visa, they came as a tourist,
No, they
or
can't go
what
work.
kind?
They got to work. They had to
Oh,
work.
work visa. Oh,
And we tell all our guys, listen, if you don't understand something, come to us. We'll bring you. We got people that understand this. We'll get you help. Because we want you. You're a good worker. But if you need to renew your visa, finally, one of my guys said, "I'm about tired of doing." He just became a citizen. He was here long enough. He's like, "I'm tired of going for my visa every so many years." And he
oh,
finally,
so you're talking about the green card, not the visa. The
but
green
like the
card,
work,
that's your permanent residency. When you can
these
stay
guys
for.
come over with just work permits, like you can be here
Oh,
6 months
work permit.
a
Okay.
year, and they don't go back. Like they don't. They let it run out, and then they're like they're scared. and then it costs them triple the money because they got to get the lawyer. Instead of going down, we tell them all the time, you need to go to school, whatever you need, let us know. We'll guide you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I applied for my visa, that was in 2007. So, it's almost 20 years ago. This country really did have an immigration policies, in place. They were not like just letting whoever in, you had to have a really good reason to actually come here. And then, when your family wanted to come here, they would have to go get the visa, at the embassy, their tourist visa. And then you would have to show that you're able to care for them, during their stay, that you can, fill in the financial obligation for them, that, they were not going to be a burden for United States, and that's how everything basically ran. And then they completely removed the visas, which now you just apply for permission, actually, not a visa. You don't really have to give them any address where you're going to stay. You can just say, oh, I'm going to travel, and no one is really saying anything about that. They're not asking you for your travel plans, like when you go through the customs, when you fly in, like they don't basically ask you anything. And so I was like, oh my gosh, why are they so strict? Is this really needed? And people were scared that they're going to fly in and they're not going to get into this country,
Yeah, but you got to vet. Anyway, I expect that if I go to another country, they're going to vet me. You're going to let people, you don't know what my mindset is or what I'm in. If we can't prove who you are or where you are, if you've ever been in jail, you're a terrorist, or just those are hypothetical things. But those are things you really need to look at. Not everybody wants to come to America for good reasons.
I know. And that's why I'm a little shocked, because I had to provide my criminal record, when I went to an embassy. I had to file the application. I had to show them how much money I have in my accounts. I had to show them
Canada.
Yeah.
Canada, they don't play around. You had a speeding ticket, they will not let you in Canada. You will be Canada's strict. They don't play. You're not, people say, I'm going to run to Canada. No, you're not. They ain't going to let you in. All these stars where if Trump becomes president, I'm going to Canada. Canada ain't taking you in. You got to go through some stringent things with them. They don't play around. And, I know a lot of guys and women that were Border Patrol agents when I was in, and they would tell me stories. And like when I went to Flexi, you take those classes and you see what they want, and they would tell you from the other side. It's like, you crazy. It's a lot easier to come to America than anywhere else. But again, we also had an invasion of 21 million illegals. So that wasn't normal either. So you have different aspects you have to do. Things are different now. You have to be a little more aggressive, stuff like that. But what are we going to do?
I mean, I think what changed, a lot of those people that are not hard workers came here. And, before it was people that really wanted to work hard because they thought, they're going to, become millionaires here in the United States, because, the money is on the trees or the money is on the ground, how they say.
My grandfather said when he came here in 1920, he was told the streets were paved with gold. He said they weren't even paved.
Yeah, I know.
But the difference between a lot of the Europeans and even the Spanish and everybody, when they came here back in the day, it's changed. They were proud to be American people. They were proud of their heritage. So you live within your heritage, but you respect the country, if that makes any sense. Like we learned the language, we learned how to, but it was a flag out every 4th of July or or every Veterans Day. My grandfather, he didn't even go back to Italy. He came here and he studied, and he's buried here. He's not. A lot of the old time, you make your money, you go back. Not him. He said, I was here since 1919. It's 1980. I spent more time here than I ever did in Italy. So this was his home where he raised his kids and his grandkids and everybody. So we have to respect the country that you're in. There's nothing wrong with having your heritage. I think that's awesome to have, whether you're Spanish, Polish, Italian, Chinese, South American, I don't care where you're from. You should always have your heritage, but you have to respect. Like, you start seeing some Shia law. No, this is not your country.
Yeah.
You want to have at your house and have those beliefs. That's okay. but you still have to respect the laws of the American people, the Constitution and all that. But immigration, one guy said, "Oh, you're against immigration?" No, I'm not. Because if I was, I immigrate, I'd still be in Italy. No, I have no problem with immigration, but it has to be done the proper way.
Yes, I agree. We completely lost the idea of securing this country the right way, and protecting American people, because I get that, everyone wants something for themselves, but I think America has started tending to a lot of different cultures, and this is where we lost so much, establishing different, religious, holidays. And I'm just like, why? I mean, I get that you're a different religion and stuff like that, but you're a guest here, really, honestly, so let's just respect what America has already implemented. But I just found out not too long time ago that they had a Jewish holiday that they just established, and it was the kids were out of school, and that was like on a Thursday, and I'm just like, I had no clue, no idea, right? So I went to work, and all of a sudden, all these kids are home and stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? Are they sick? I was like, no, it's a holiday. And I'm like, what holiday?
Yeah, we have
It's
a
a
lot of
Jewish
holidays.
holiday.
The
And
kids
I'm
are
like,
off school a lot.
and I'm like, yeah, that's great, but that's not our religion, which I'm talking our meaning American, right? I mean, we should keep implementing American culture and not like everyone else's culture. They just wanted to take over, you
And
know?
no,
And I'm like, no, like, I'm Polish and cool, I would like to have things Polish way, but I don't think it's fair for everyone else to try to implement my stuff on other people.
and like I said, your heritage, your home, you still cook Polish ways, and you
Yeah.
want your kids to learn Polish, or that's fine. But follow the American way, because that's where you came here to get a better life and respect the American. And then always, you should never get rid of your culture. Somebody asked me why I was fighting some video I did about the statue about Columbus. But that's what the people understand about Italians. It was given to the Italians to say, "Hey, we
Yeah.
appreciate what you do." And if you had a statue for Polish or Spanish, I would stick up for you too, because nobody should take your heritage away, because that's what
Yeah.
the country was built on. But we're still America, and you still have to go by our ways, respect our laws, respect our Constitution, and whatever you want to teach your kids a different language. That's back in the day, it was a necessity. You learned a different language because your
Yeah.
parents, they came here old. You were the one that had to learn to help them. Right
So
English.
if we were just implement everyone's religion holidays, how many days off from school and work we would have to have. And then I have someone here who says, on Twitch, that there is no official religion of America. I agree,
Yeah.
but also we cannot, we can't like tend to some religions and some not, like we have had Thanksgiving, we have had Christmas, right? That is a holiday, for example, which is a religious holiday. And we also have Easter. And then we have holidays for Jewish people, which is Hanukkah. I don't know what else are really there, any other
Well, those are the
religious
dominating.
holidays, but like, yeah, but now like what? Now we have Muslims, we have Buddhists, we have all the other people, and they're all of a sudden are gonna have their holidays like free from work, free from school. And so like, in my opinion, it would have been it's too much chaos, and I think America was basically founded on Christianity.
Well, they wanted, like I said in opening,
Yeah.
we were founded for freedom of religion. The English, they were changing. King James throwing burning Bibles, and people were being put in jail. Don't forget the Pilgrims and the Puritans and anybody that came here to be able to believe in what they believed in, whether it was God, Jesus Christ, or or whoever. And they were told they couldn't do it, and they were persecuted for it. And that's another thing that's going on. The people want to hurt people just for their religion. I mean, what's going on in Nigeria? They're killing the Christians, and finally,
Yes,
Trump.
I know. I already heard.
Nobody. I don't care if you're Muslim, or Christian, or nobody should be hurt for the way they believe in God.
Yeah,
Now, if you're a terrorist and you're a criminal, that's one thing, but not because you preach a different way. That's insane. How it's gotten to be where because you're Jewish, you're getting attacked, or you're a Christian, you're getting murdered. You're Muslim, and you're getting it's beyond me because we're all supposed to be a loving God that's not supposed to hurt anybody. There's no.
Yeah, I agree. So I mean, I'm completely against the war, first of all, and especially when you are killing someone because they believe into something else than you are. I mean, there's so many religions. Everyone has a different God, or some people even don't believe in God. They
That's
just go
exactly.
about their own business, And so what? Now all of a sudden they gotta die because of that. I mean, we don't even have in America. They even if you are a felon or you get life. They don't kill people anymore, because
Some
of
states, depending on what state, Agnes, it depends on what state you're in with the laws, but
yeah,
nobody.
but majority doesn't, so you just get life.
Listen, just because, like, the way I believe, I don't believe, like, to me, being gay, I don't believe in, but I don't hurt that person. I have plenty of gay friends that I always thought nobody should hurt that person because they're gay. Like these other countries, they kill you for that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That they have to answer to how they want to work. They're not hurting anybody. I don't like it being imposed on young kids. I think you should be a certain age where you want to, find out what your sexuality is. But just because you're gay doesn't give you the right to get killed. There's countries.
Oh my God, no, absolutely not. That's crazy.
So what? You have a different frame of mind. And again, we're in America. We were built on other people's values.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, when you go and flaunt it and you're chasing little kids and these books they were putting in the library where these sexual acts were being taught to kindergartners. No, that's insane. And anybody I know who's like that, or gay or bisexual, whatever they are, they'll always tell you don't do that with kids. You let the kids grow. And when they were older, but nobody should be persecuted. And we used to abuse gay people here too, which is stupid. They're not bothering them alone. That's their business. I mean, you're going to persecute me because I like women, and I'm out on a date, and all of a sudden somebody comes up, oh my God, throwing rocks at us because we're having a drink or dinner. That's not right. Just leave people alone. Mind your business. That's up to them. They're not hurting nobody.
That's absolutely crazy. I don't know. I mean, we don't have to agree, right, with what they're doing, but that's just about it. It's just a matter of different opinions. And
I got a real good friend, Laura Brody. Her and her wife live around the corner. Laura is hysterical. Served in the army. Boy, she's crazy. I love her. Every time she sees me, comes running. She's like, I know, I'm a diehard Democrat, but I got you. I'm voting for you, Chris. But that's fine. That's her preference. I mean, you shouldn't hate anybody for that. They had this phobia back in the days. So again, I guess it's by person how you're brought up or something like that. And racism is the fear of the unknown. You don't know.
Definitely.
Instead of educating yourself on it and finding out, like, hey, that person's got a heart of gold. If I called her right now, come up here, I got a problem, she'd be in my door in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't believe in hurting people or bashing people, and I teach my kids to be the same way. I think the more humble you are, and the more helpful, we get into things to help people, not to hurt people. A friend of mine used to tell me all the time, if you can make one person smile a day, you're doing God's work. I make about 300 people laugh a day because I'm great. I'm goofy at work. And I don't care about anything. I just laugh. But we need to just be a little more humble, be a little more kind to people. And it's only election. It's my opinion how I am. You don't have to say things about my kids or my family it gets out of hand. And that's the toughest part, I think, of being in running for office.
Mm-hmm. So do you think possibly because, your district is a lot closer to New York City, do you think that the new mayor, that they picked, do you think a lot is going to change? And is it going to have any impact on Connecticut?
You know what? I don't know how much that, because this kid talked a lot of hot air. We all know 90% of stuff he said he can't do. All right.
Yeah.
We all know if you're smart, educated, and you don't want things, you can't. It's not going to work. He can't do some of the stuff he was talking about because it's against, and the governor has said she's not going to agree with some of the stuff he does. One thing, the last time the COVID hit, the market values went up in the houses. That was You know what I mean? Good and bad, because now you can't sell your house. Where you're going to go? Yeah, you're going to get good money, but where are you going to go? Right?
Yeah.
Let's use that as a down payment, but whatever. We all want to pay our mortgages off before we retire. I live in a great area. I don't want to sell my house. I work for it. I didn't always live in an area like this. Trust me.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But no, I don't. I want to wait and see. I think it's a little more hype. I think the media is hyping this up worse than it is. You're not going to change your values and who you are because he's mayor. I think the kids are going to flop. I'll be honest with you. I think it's going to be a really bad turn, and Bernie Sanders and them that nominate him. But I think the kids are going to flop. What does he know? He never had a job, never had to work. He comes from money.
Right.
I feel sorry for I feel sorry for the people who didn't want it and voted a different way.
Yeah.
Because there were so many people, but New York City is really not New Yorkers. Manhattan, that area. If you go to Staten Island, you go to Brooklyn, you go to the Bronx and Queens, and I would love to know who voted where, because I could tell you Staten Island didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
Long Island didn't vote for him. Well, depends on where you're at in Nassau, Suffolk County, but again, it sucks, but it is democracy, and when democracy plays out, sometimes we always don't get our way. And it's just sad that there should be some laws though, where if somebody in that position is not doing it and is harming people, then they should be able to be removed. There's no way to remove these people. They're the only people that could do whatever they want and do it wrong and cause harm, damage, and misery and never lose their job.
I was actually surprised to see that Cuomo ran, I was like, really? I was like, you showed us, who you are, and now you're running again. He's
a narcissist, that guy. He don't care, man. He's a Cuomo. You know what I mean? They think they're royalty too, I had a lot of respect for the father. I did a report when I was in college about him. He was like my family. So he reminded me, my dad grew up the same way as an immigrant kid. Back in those days, Italians were not treated. People talk about other races that were treated bad. I gave a friend of mine a sign last week. It went: whites, Irish, black, Italians need not apply. We were tortured. We didn't speak the language. We were dark. They hated. They didn't like our food. Now they do. I mean, it's the best food in the world. But I hate when other races come to me. I said, no, here. And I got on my phone when I'm campaigning, and I show everybody's eyes light up. We never got put in the white category until the 60s, 70s. Mario Cuomo's father was a star baseball player for St. John's. Top of his class as a lawyer. Could not get a job when he graduated because he was Italian.
Wow, really?
We were discriminated. My grandfather told me he didn't talk a lot when he came in, so couldn't have been that good. But little bit stories we would get out of him. He would say people like they would fall off the bridge because he worked on the Whinstone Bridge. He came to the block, came from Italy. And they would just pour concrete over him and keep going. The wife would come with the kids the next day crying, "Where's my husband? Get out of here." Throw rocks at him. And there's a lot of bodies under them bridges, with the concrete. So we weren't always treated properly. We worked hard, and not everybody. We had criminals in our heritage too, which people
I mean,
they want to make movies, and my grandfather didn't agree with that. We weren't brought up that way. I mean, I had family members, you grow up in a neighborhood, and but I went straight, thank God. I stood a straight path, and that was
it. So I mean, I really do find Italy to be an extremely beautiful country, and I did go there and I visited, and I mean, we are just so similar, Polish and Italian, and
it's the same background.
Culture, it's just like how you guys are big on everything that is religious, on all your like first communion, I mean, we call it Christianing, and then
European.
you have your confirmation.
I think it's more the Europeans. I think we all think the same, because Albanians a lot of them talk Italian, and they're the Polish. That mindset is there. And the stubbornness of it is too. No disrespect, but a lot of guys are stubborn from the other side.
Yes.
My grandfather, he'd argue with him all day. He'd tell you it was day. By the time he got done arguing, it was morning. I mean, he had an Italian, they use the word gabados. That's what Rosa DeLauro calls me all the time. Gabados means head of stone, a hard head. So it's that European style. You guys are old souls. Like, you think differently. You think at a young age, you think like an adult. a lot of the
Yeah.
Europeans.
Yeah, a
But that,
lot more mature, I mean, I think it's still because, I mean, at least when I was young, because I was born in '80s, so there was still like literally the end of communism, but it's not like it just ended in one day.
no,
So I still remember a lot of things that my family had to go through and how they had to really feed themselves and how they have to get things. Like basically, there was nothing in the stores, and so they had to make it happen. They had to grow the food, they had to kill the animals, and stuff like that it's kind of, it really is making you tough, because you cannot count on anybody. You cannot count on mommy and daddy giving you the money or giving you the food if you don't have, like, I mean, it's just a different way of living. And whenever you have everything since when you were born and you don't have to worry about anything, people are just not tough, and kind of like emotionally like weak, I would say. I mean, we in Poland, and I think in Italy at some point, I'm not sure if you guys have that in Italy now or not, but our army and military, it was mandatory for everybody.
I think they changed it, but Italy was yeah,
Yeah,
right after 2 years. It was mandatory 2 years.
yes, exactly. Same thing. So my
Israel
dad,
like
no
that.
matter what, he had to go, and he spent 2 years, and they are making you like it's a tough time being in military or like
Boot camp.
whatever they training you for 2 years and stuff like that. I mean, here in the United States, you don't have to go unless you really want to,
Yeah, I went.
and and sometimes I feel like it's kind of needed. I mean,
It helped me. I grew up, and it really it tells you how to handle challenges, how to have
yeah,
pressure,
yeah,
not
yeah,
just jump off the rails for no reason. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
One thing I would love one day to attend an Italian wedding. That's not
I'm going
something
to
I.
one Saturday. I'm going to one Saturday. My cousin's kids getting married, and
Oh my goodness.
up in
Italian weddings, I think, are the ones, except maybe gypsy weddings, that are like the biggest, but Italian weddings are always big and like, flashy and everything.
They've gotten
Our
small.
weddings are also big, but not as big, I don't think.
They've gotten smaller because the generations are more Americanized now, and
Yeah,
weddings are so expensive.
I
That's the
know.
problem. I mean, back in those days, they were paying $10 a plate. I mean, you buy everybody, grandmother. Now
Yeah.
you're talking 100. I mean, you got to give somebody, a pretty good envelope just to cover, the cost. You can
Your
talk
plate. I know.
$200 a dinner, 220. And this place that my cousin's kid, I mean, it cost him. He paid most of the wedding. It was very costly. So
Yeah.
you don't have those 400 options because after a while, $10 in an envelope is not going to cover the cost. You're going to go in debt. So
Yeah.
it cut down, and everybody only like us. We're all like friends are going, and I'm single anyways. But nobody they didn't let anybody bring anybody unless you're married.
Yeah. Right.
Extra cost. You had to be
Yes,
married.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch
Yeah, I
of
get it.
going together. So
I didn't really get the chance to go to too many weddings because most of the friends that I have here, they are all immigrants, and mostly they don't even have a family around. So they're just the only people that are always paying for everything, So you have to choose in between buying a house or a lavish wedding, And sometimes they just make it for like 20, 30 people and that's it, just to make a small celebration. So I really only went to a couple weddings here that were bigger. And like I said, everyone is choosing to spend that money on your down payment rather than, $100,000 wedding, that is
I
just
think
going
it's
to be
crazy that
one
you got that
night.
kind of money. I mean, I remember when I was married, and I was going back a while ago, and what we paid. And these people, that's crazy. It's a wedding. I'd rather take, like you said, and put it on a
Yeah.
house. Buy a nice party. I know friends of mine that got married out of state or out of country, excuse me, like a destination.
Yeah.
And they came home and threw like a
party.
decent party for everybody to come.
Yeah.
But these people are crazy. What was it, Steve? The guy that owned Amazon, What did he spend? $50 million on his wedding?
Oh yes, I heard. I know.
That's ridiculous. I don't care what you take that money and feed people. You want to have a nice wedding, don't get me wrong. It's your money, you earned it. But come on, you got people that are hurting right now. He can fund SNAP right now.
Yes, I know, right?
You made money on the average working person, and I'm sure that those people donate. So I really can't talk like that. They do donate a lot of money, but
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know,
but it's just for us. It's just so much. You
$50
know.
million at a wedding.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Unbelievable money that they spend. And what is really cost so much money then, in the end, when you really think about it, I mean, what do you spend 50 million?
I don't know what he like a private island, I guess, and he flew over. I don't. That was a drop in the, that's like $50 to me and you.
Yes, exactly, right?
Listen, he earned it. It's his money. I mean, you can't. That's why we live in a country
Yeah.
that capitalism. But still, I mean, come on. I mean, really, for a wedding,
Right. So what did you hear that Trump is going to release that contingency for SNAP, or did he say actually that he's not going to? Because last couple of days I wasn't really following.
I heard something today. A judge had ordered he was going to fund it partially. Then a judge said that he had to, but there's not enough money in that. The money's only like I think it's called
8 weeks, right?
It was like 8.6 billion to actually fund it fully, but it's only 6 billion they had in that fund, and that's for like floods and hurricanes and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, just open the government.
Right, exactly.
I don't care what party you're on, independent, Democrat. We're American people, and you're not. And it's a politician game, whether it's the Republicans doing it or the Democrats. And you're letting this world, like less than 600 people, control close to 400 million people right now. So this is like socialism. Even though we're a capitalist country, but these people are shutting us down and not funding the government. They need to make a law, and I'm going to make it myself when I get there. You cannot shut the government down.
Yeah.
You can't use anything.
I know. That's so unfair. Unfair.
It's a clean resolution. They need to learn how to balance a budget too, instead of using resolutions all the time. We haven't had a balanced budget since Clinton.
Yes.
What's his name? Gingrich was the Speaker of the House, and a Republican and Democrat got together. That's what's changed. The Democrats and Republicans weren't that far off back in the day. They kind of similarly were the same. They served in the military. They loved their country. Blue collar union guys were more for Democrat. Yeah. Republicans were more for capitalism, open the business.
Yeah.
But we weren't far apart. This never would have happened. No matter what, they made sure the American people ate. Then whatever deals they did in the back door, who fought with who. This is ridiculous. This is bad.
Yeah.
And that's why I like John Fetterman. He don't care. And he's a big guy, so I don't think anybody's going to talk,
Yeah.
That guy's like a giant. But we need to open the government no matter what. And then whatever political issues you got, talking about Obamacare, it was no good from day one. But all this time. And even with Trump, I don't know what they were fighting, but nobody fixed it. From Obama to now, to Trump's second term. So I don't know, that's another thing. So anytime you have to subsidize something, it was never good to begin with.
Yeah, I know. I just don't understand why insurance is so expensive.
It's always been like that in America.
The whole construction of the health insurance is literally a scam. Because why? So you pay monthly premium and then you still have to give them
deductibles. They don't cover. Dental's the worst in this country.
I think it's ridiculous. The deductible should be taken away right away. If you want $600-$800 a month from me, you should be covering all my healthcare costs.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
$4,000 a year when you add everything, tax and
everything. Yeah, and on top of that, I gotta pay $5,000 deductible. Yeah, because if you work for yourself, you can't really.
When I retired, I kept my benefits. So even though I work myself, I don't have to worry about that. Thank God.
Yeah, so you're lucky. And some people I am, we're not that lucky. And then this is why I always have a problem with it. And I talk about it a lot, because how do you pay this much money, monthly for your insurance? And then, later on you want to use this insurance, and then you have to hit a deductible first.
And they don't cover.
before.
They might not cover the procedure. And you
Yeah,
pay all these years.
exactly. You
But
know?
when you get CEOs making 10, 12, 13 million dollars a year, like I felt bad for the guy that got killed. He never should have got killed like that. The insurance
Yeah,
that guy's
yeah,
nut job head. He was a father,
yeah,
whatever. But he was making a 10 or $12 million a year.
yeah.
And he
I
had the best
know.
coverage than anybody. Well, his kids never would have missed any kind of coverage. Again, we need these executives in the medical field, pharmaceutical, insurance. It's gotten way out of control because a lot of them are heavy lobbyists. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of lobbyists that play it, and that needs to stop. But we need to figure out, we just can't, there's two things in this country we can never get right. Correctional system, what we do with people when we arrest them, how to rehabilitate. Since 17, it's since the first jail was in Philadelphia to now, they could never get it right. And what we do with juveniles, what are we doing with these kids that are, because I had worked in the DCF for like 6 months, years back. It was so heartbreaking. I was up in
Yeah.
Middletown where they call it a school, but it's a jail, and
I have a problem with DCF. I have a problem with that whole entire system, how the DCF works here in the United States, I mean, in some cases, they're way overbearing, and in some cases, they just do absolutely nothing.
Look what happened to that poor girl in New Britain.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They're sick people. That's a death penalty.
There are, but DCF had open case, on that girl.
How do you?
And you know what happened? That was the worst. Like they could actually do in a DCF. They conducted an virtual checkup, which means like me and you were talking right now. So the woman that killed that child said that she cannot, accommodate a visit in person. So she demanded a virtual, checkup. And so what happened, that little girl was already dead, and that woman presented a different kind of child that played the role of the child that was supposed to be hers. And the little girl was already dead. And this is how the DCF conducted a checkup on the case that they had open.
Agnes, when I was going through my custody battle, things, they came to my house, looked in my refrigerator, looked in my cabinets. So I don't know how that changed over that, but
I do not understand how is this even possible that having an open case on a girl that was already
abused.
Abused, exactly. They had an open case and they have never followed up. And they found out a year later. They found her in the garbage.
I heard praise for that little girl. Imagine being hungry, scared, hungry, being beaten like that.
Oh my God.
I couldn't.
And how do you want to have a faith in the system? There's no faith in the system because the good people like you get those type of visits, and DCF comes and looks in your fridge where you basically were law enforcement. You're working your whole entire life. You're a good person. You have
Never know
record.
nothing to get my kids, raise my husband. And when she came over, I was cooking dinner for the kids, and she came in. They looked at. I was like, "What are you doing in my?" Looked in my refrigerator and everything. Like I'm a criminal, and yet something like this happens, and you want a virtual.
Yeah, exactly.
They want a virtual meeting like we're doing.
Yeah, that's what happened. I read an article about it, and the article, the DCF was like, they're not going to comment, and I'm like, well, of course they're not going to comment.
DCF has been a problem in Connecticut for many, 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 many years. It's just
yes, I agree.
Right. And it's tough too, man. I have a good friend of mine that's an investigator. They're overwhelmed like you don't believe. I mean,
I think a lot of cases in the DCF, those are the retaliation in between the parents, and I think one is going to call on the other, and, this is what they got to mostly deal with. But I think they should have better way of recognizing, those type of cases. And, if they come to your house and they see everything is fine, close the case. You don't see any kids being abused, this and that. And, if someone already abused a child and they didn't follow up with that, I mean, like.
Well, you get these crazy people. Like a couple of years ago, not a couple, maybe about 10, 12 years ago, the lady came to check on the kids and he not pushed her out, locked the door, and killed his 2 daughters and himself. It was out down south somewhere. I don't know if he shot the lady. I think he might have shot the DCF lady. But again, you
Wow.
don't know people's mental stability.
Yeah.
They could smile till you close the door. It's tough. I mean, again, we have so much issues with mental health here that we really need to subside.
That's
Stop
true.
drugging people up. They're drugging these people up with pills and nuts, and instead of getting them a little bit of therapy and give them a job and teach them how to relax. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's so much this country needs to be fixed. I love the country. Don't get me wrong. Proud to be American. I'm proud of my heritage, the Italian side of it. But we really need, this is the best country in the world. We just got to make it better. And we got to change hands. These people have been in Congress too long. We need term limits. We need term limits. And I've been saying it since the day. And people are telling me, you're nuts. Nobody's going to agree with you. There's a lot of young, or not younger, or people that are going into office now with the same mentality. Let's get a bill passed for term limits. You do it to the president, right? Why are you doing? These people have more power. They've been around for years. Rosa DeLauro has a lot of friends. They may be turning on her a little bit now, but when I ran 6 years ago, I found out that lady had people everywhere, and she did a lot of favors for people. And again, I'm not going against Rosa. I'm going against the Democratic machine, and I'm going against a lot of people that she helped get employed, that they're not going to have a job when I get in. So it's a little bit. I'm ready for it. I'm going to have some fun with it, and I love meeting everybody and having fun and getting out there and getting on interviews, TV shows, and hopefully you're next. I've been on radio shows a lot, podcasts, but maybe a little more exposure.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to start focusing on fundraising. That's what everybody, my website is being pushed out a lot more. I'll just and pick on that because that's the time now you start working on that stuff.
Yeah, I want to share your website right now. I was going through a little bit of what you have put out here. You have posted some pictures here from some gatherings. I see.
A parade. I was in a parade. Veterans Day parade in Naugatuck. I loved every minute of it, especially with the veterans. When you come up to them, you see an emblem that and they got them. But it was fun. Gary Byron in the mornings, speech I did at one of my fundraisers. We have a lot more. I'm going to be working on the website over the weekend with my web designer. On Sunday, I have so many more pictures. I love it. I love meeting people. I'll be honest with you. It's tough asking people for money though, to run, but I have to, and I'm getting over that. Kind of like I don't want to call that shyness or maybe because I've worked for everything I have and you feel bad.
I know it's tough, but unfortunately, you're just one person and you work for yourself. It's going to be really hard to to gather the funds for your campaign.
Yeah, and I've said, listen, $25, $50. Believe me, I got over 1,500 friends, 2,000 friends on my Facebook. It does add up. $25, even $10, it adds up. And I'd rather have the people. You want everybody to help you out, but people got to understand that I'm running for the people of the state of Connecticut, not just for my people, because whatever I do in DC is going to bring back to Connecticut. And I'm not. I want businesses. I want to deal with businessmen, but I'm not here for them. They want to donate to my campaign. Believe me, I could use them. Everybody could use more money, the better. But even that, there's only so much money. You don't need all this money that people talk about. My friend did my website for me. I have a lot of donations that came in, like donating stuff, and money. Yeah. I'm in the fiber business, so it's not going to be hard to raise money, But like I told somebody I met with, I'm not going to use a name. I'm here to listen to you for what you're asking, but I'm not here for you alone. You're just part of the district. And, one thing I say to everybody all the time, Connecticut should be telling Washington what to do, not Washington telling the residents of Connecticut what to do. And that's what happened. They're telling not just Rosa, Jim Himes, what's the other one? John Haynes that John's going against, and Amy Chine is up there with Larson, and then you got, Aniston. It's the same thing. We're here for the people of the state. And people don't realize, yes, am I in District 3? But when I vote for something that could benefit the whole state, so you want the right people, to get some of these executive orders in line. Do I agree with everything that the president is? No, I don't. Do I like Trump? Did I vote for him 3 times? All day long. He's done things that other people won't. Again, sometimes you don't always have to agree, but what benefits the people? What benefits these single mothers? We need programs to get these single mothers that are struggling for daycare to get them in school. Get some daycare
Yeah.
for them. I mean, let them get college educated. Let them get a job. Because a lot of girls are scared at that age. They're young. Oh my god, and they think they can't get anywhere. And then what do they end up on? A program like SNAP. And that's not. Get somebody. Get that care. We have all this money for everybody else. What about our people? I love helping people, but I got to be able to pay my mortgage before I can help you with your rent.
Yes.
Okay?
I agree.
We need to do this. There's nothing wrong with helping. But this money that was flying around with that USAID, I mean, that was a shelter. That was a shell company over there. They were funneling money everywhere. That's got to stop. And some of the stuff that's happening now, the shutdown and all that, you're getting to weed all this out. And if you want a program assistance, you have to work so many hours, or you have to attend school. Or trade school. We have to get you back into working. You don't need 40 million people on SNAP. You need to get people educated, trades, and get them a job and something they enjoy. I hire people all the time. I'm not here now. Anybody looking for a job in cable, I'll train you to be a cable splicer. We're looking for people. I want to hire, and it's hard to hire people. So
I know. Yeah, I know.
you say you got your own business, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. But again, we need to get people off of these programs so that right now they're not relying on anybody. It's okay in the beginning. It's okay. That's what it's for. But after that, what are you doing besides giving them SNAP? Are you sending them to a trade school? Are you sending them to get education? No. Why? That's not helping people. That's enslaving people. The definition of slavery is work people with no pay or don't work them and give them pay. Because now you control that. And that's not what we're built on. And I don't care what color you are, what race you are. You're a human being. You got a mind. You got hands. You got a back. Let's get going. Everybody's got pride. And better life.
Yeah, I think we kind of should also focus on making things a lot more affordable, because some people do work those low income jobs, like those minimum wage jobs, and honestly, $17 an hour is really not going to get you anywhere far, but we still have to have some people doing these jobs, and
But if
so
somebody's working like that, then you give them the assistance, Angie, and then you get them, like you said, affordable. The rents are crazy now.
yeah, exactly. That's what my point is, because I remember when I first started my job, on my own, that was really kind of, I went out there and I had to look for one. I was making $20 an hour, and that was 2009, 2010. And so my rent was $800.
I know. It's crazy.
And now people still make $20 an hour, and rent is $1,800.
In Milford, you're not finding a decent place in Milford for under $2,000, and that's it's sad. And how do you justify that? So, what happens is property taxes went up, so the taxes went up, and the taxes went up, and they can't afford. Not everybody that owns a rental property owns it outright.
Yeah,
they took a mortgage, so they're trying to benefit themselves, so they have to. But I mean, my thing is, you're overpricing it to where these people can't afford to live. How are they going to pay your rent? So maybe you don't make as much, but you're paying your mortgage on your rental. You're hurting people. For gain. So
it's tough now because I talked about this with George. I had last week. He's running for district too. Yes.
Yeah, George's a nice guy. Good guy.
And he said, he is in construction and all that stuff. And we talked a little bit about buying properties, and investing. And so I currently own a 3-family house. And I bought this house for $250,000. And right now this house is worth $500,000.
Yeah, you're like,
so if I'm coming in and buying the house for $500,000, my taxes are $10,000. My insurance is $4,500.
Yours went up too, huh? The insurance. Mine jacked up too. I noticed it in my mortgage.
So my mortgage is lower because the buying price was lower than what it is now. If I was going to buy this house now, I cannot make rent less than $2,000. I can't. There's no way that you will be able to pay your bills, maintain the property, pay the taxes and pay insurance. And those are the things you have to pay. It's not like you can afford them. It's just so sad. But if they would take that tax away, those $8,000, or $9,000 a year, your regular rent would be $200-$300 less a month.
Oh, big time. I thought even the property, but your insurance went. My insurance went up almost $700. No change. Anything. Just went up 700. I was like, and then you call and I said, wow, this is crazy. So you call out to get other prices. Everybody's on the same price margin now. It's like,
so that is a little tricky because it depends on the building materials and overall quote of whenever they needed to rebuild your house. If let's say you had a fire or something destroyed your house completely, and now they need to spend $1 million to build your house back. My house is quoted $1 million right now if they had to rebuild it. Put it the same way that it is now, so basically everything times 3, 3 fridges, 3 stoves, 3 toilets, 3 everything, so it kind of, you really are thinking, but it does add up, so that's how they priced it, and this is why the insurance is so expensive. When I first got it, I think my rebuild was around $400,000. And that was in 2018, and my insurance was only $1,800 a year. So, I mean, the prices have changed like crazy, but my, my paycheck did not really change that much.
No, you have to with your money. I mean, we're always having, that's what I'm saying. When the Congress doesn't think like that, they want for money. You have to have those kind of skills that know how to budget and how to get by with less.
I mean, so honestly, when they did the assessments for their real estate, why they couldn't just leave the taxes the way they were?
Because they don't know how to make any revenue, so they just tax you.
It's just so sad because mine went from 4 to 8, so that's basically doubled. It doubled. And I'm thinking like, so what are you doing with all these crazy money that you just got,
And there's a lot of people in your town. There's a lot of mine that get in. They're not buying new police cars because the guys are still driving and the women are still driving in older cars. That we still haven't got a new police that's outdated that needs to be done, and and they want to build on stupid stuff. So it's part of.
But like it's just so sad. You're getting income tax. You're getting a personal property tax. You're getting real estate tax. You're getting, you're paying tax in gas. You're paying tax on food. You're paying tax from all these businesses, and it's tax on top of tax. You buy a car, you register, you pay tax and tax and tax and tax. I mean, the amount of money that we give government is overwhelming.
Well,
it's overwhelming.
Connecticut is known as the tax to the death state. We've been known for that. I remember when Weicker put the income tax, only supposed to be for 2 years.
Yeah.
We had a state income tax. We're the only state that has a state income tax, 2 casinos, lottery, and all kinds of sin taxes. And they're always crying about money. But yet, he tells you that he's got a rainy day fund that's worth almost $5 billion. So how are we hurting? What are we doing here? So, hopefully everybody starts to, we get some more people with different mindsets, and hopefully a lot more people run this year for the state seats and try to take some of these seats over. I mean, we have 46 uncontested. Not even nobody wants to run. So, the party has to really get together, and people have to, like I said, I'll be around the district again. I've been talking, to a lot of the RTCs, and, we're getting our own group. Certain people work together. And Matt Corey's another good friend of mine, and another good guy is running for lieutenant governor. He campaigns like crazy. He knows how to campaign good.
I mean, also, I looked it up how much money yearly Rosa is making. And it comes up to be $174,000 a year that she's making. And I'm just like, wow. I didn't really expect it was going to be that much, you know. I thought it was going to be around like 120, you know, maybe.
They
But
raised.
174 is a little overwhelming for me.
Well, I mean, it is a lot. And it's time to do. But you got to understand something. You live in Connecticut. I have to be down there to get an apartment down there.
Yeah.
So you have to pay for that and other stuff. I mean, it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of, for what they do. And since you're supposed to politics wasn't supposed to be a lifetime job. It's supposed to give you time and, do what you can for your community and let somebody else step in that seat. And through the years, you got McConnell, and it's on both sides of the aisle. Agnes, it's not just Republican or Democrat. Look at Mitch McConnell and that other guy, Grassley. The guy's 92 years old.
Well.
I mean, Dick Urban on the Democratic side and Feinstein, who passed away while in office. There was one Republican lady. She was a congresswoman. She was in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Nobody knew for a year.
Wow.
So again, there has to be term limits and everything. You can't be a federal police officer, take a test. I think it's FBI. If you pass 25, and you have to leave before you serve age. So not discrimination. And it's not even that job. You should have more fresh minds. And I don't mean fresh mind because you could read, but to society and what society needs. What does Grassley know that me and you right now, right, are business owners, and we're talking about what does he really? The guy's so far out of it. He's just what he really reads. And he's just, his answers are all there. Don't get him wrong. Guy gets around. But come on, that's enough now. We need people with fresh ideas.
Like we spoke right before when we started the live. I mean, what Rosa, DeLauro, knows about buying a house right now? What does she know about working, a regular job? Does she even know how much really grocery costs for just a regular family whose household is $83,000? Let's say it's $83,000 and you have two kids, then so you have a mortgage of $3,500 because you're not buying a house less than $400,000 right now. And then 30% of that income is going to taxes. It's it's really hard on $83,000 to really actually survive right now with a family of four. It really is, even though it seems like so much money, and for some people it may seem like it is a lot because for South Carolina, for North Carolina, Georgia, and all these
Ohio, it's still good, but not here. Not in the East
Coast.
No,
it's not. I mean, our real estate taxes, like we already established, are extremely expensive.
Exactly.
Also our gas, it's expensive because there is a lot of tax in our gas. So so it's like it's like $3 basically, where let's say Tennessee it's $2.50 because they don't put so much taxes in there, and I mean it's just even regular stores. I mean I shop in like Price Right or Aldi, like I don't even go to regular stores like Stop and Shop, and if I have to, I go to Walmart, and try to always find something cheaper. Like I have never had that problem before. It was not like I was going to try to find the cheapest stores to shop around, and then I spent $200, and not always that is enough for a whole entire week to feed myself. How do people even on Snap make it happen?
It came out of Big Y the other day with 5 things. It was almost $60.
Yeah.
Again,
so I mean, not without a reason. They say Connecticut is an expensive state. It really is expensive state, and $83,000 for family of 4. I don't know really the current, congresswoman. She's 80 something years old. Like the last time she bought a house, it was probably when she was in her, I don't know, 30s or whatever, and the houses were like $20,000,
That's when people made money, because their houses went up with their economy. You bought a house for $30,000, and then as you went, your income grew, your house became more in value, so it was worth it. We are coming in a generation when I was young in my 30s, and buying a house at $300,000, and the gas is this, and the gas is, and you got 2 kids, and it's rough, and that's what stresses out a lot of people, causes a lot of divorces because everybody's
finances
all the time, and then you end up a divorce, you're paying child support. So it's like ding, 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 dong. Just one thing after the other. But got to just keep the faith, and always stay positive about everything. Listen, not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to agree with me. But hopefully we can meet in the middle and do what's going to benefit. I'm the guy in my company that has to negotiate with the companies and the workers, and so you have to hear everybody's opinion, and you got to be open minded about things. You just can't be. This is what you see now. I'm Republican, my way or no way. I'm Democrat, my way or no way.
Yeah.
And lately, a couple here and there are trying to go on the other side, but hopefully it gets back the way it used to be, where they used to see on TV. Remember how they used to cross the aisle and the guy was talking and they, came into a back door and came out. Yeah, they cussed each other out. They didn't like each other, but they did what was right for the American people.
Yeah.
We need to do.
I think what we should come together on and agree in between Democrats and Republicans is the cost of healthcare, and that something needs to be done, and no matter on which side you are, everyone has to pay that, and everyone has to have a healthcare, because if you don't, then you're just going to end up with thousands of dollars. Like my dad, who thought that he can just be here for 6 months and nothing bad is going to happen to him, and we ended up with a lot of bills because he was hospitalized twice, and that was a lot. And I told him, you cannot be here without insurance. And what the problem with these insurances is, it's not like with the car that you can just get it whenever you want to.
No.
You have to get it, and you have to pay. You have to get it at a certain time, which is like most of the time is November. And then you have to pay it for a whole entire year. So if someone is here only for 6 months, it's a big issue in like getting, their health insurance. You can't just buy a health insurance for 6 months for how long you're going to be here. I mean, it's ridiculous like, what?
Again, a special, but we also, the homelessness is a big issue too.
Yes.
Really,
yes, I agree.
we have to drive down what's causing it. And another thing is the youth. I used to be in martial arts a lot and boxing, keep my, train with the kids. What's making these kids so angry that they're killing each other in the street? And I grew up in Bridgeport during the 80s when it was wild. And I never understood it then, and I don't understand it now. What are you doing that you're taking lives of these kids in New Haven? They're out of control over there.
Yeah.
Water beer is getting out of control now. And these are young, beautiful kids that have a life ahead of them.
Future, yeah.
We need to understand what's breaking, where that disconnect is. And a lot of it has to do with home and the broken homes and and society. So we need to, again, if we could get people to work and we get kids, when I was at their age, we had working programs when kids were working, 15. I've been working since I was 14, making pizzas and everything, and car washes and pumping gas. But there's no gas stations anymore like when I was a kid. You had those. But we have to do something. We have to find too much time on your hands causes problems.
I agree with that. I definitely agree. And I think there needs to be more implementing of motivation and less of, I'm being depressed, type of
Everybody's
thing.
depressed now. I don't know.
Because I think motivation is everything. And if you're motivated in life, you're definitely going to go somewhere. Because if you work on something extremely hard every single day, you will be successful. And I know what I'm talking about, because that was me at some point that came here to United States with $200 in my pocket, and if I can make it happen, that means anyone else can. And then also I had a language barrier, I still do have a language barrier, because I can't always express myself 100% how I want to, but I had to learn also English, which I did extremely fast because I came with very limited English. So, but just the fact that I got on the plane, I came here, I was able to score a job, and all I could bring was just $200. If these people that I was supposed to work for did not pick me up from the airport, I couldn't even go back home,
That's
because the ticket was like $600.
Oh my
And
God.
so, I worked for them for 2 years, and then, that was it. I had to find my next adventure, and who else was gonna, hire me and give me another contract and stuff like that. And things happen, but they happen because I worked extremely hard. I always worked 2 jobs, working, 60, 80 hours sometimes. I even worked 3 jobs at some point, and things are possible, but it's just heartbreaking that even 2 jobs nowadays is not enough to be able to sustain the cost of living. And if I was to buy a house that is $500,000 now, I don't know who would give me
You
that.
gotta look at the interest rate. I don't understand how people can afford it. 7-8% on $500,000. That's a lot of money.
There is no way.
Well,
With my 2 jobs that I have right now, I don't make enough money to afford. The bank is never going to give me a loan for 500. Well, let's say you put the down payment, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do not have the affordability. It's just no way. And America changed, and that's what is so sad, because this was my American dream. I came here because I thought I was going to be rich, I was going to be a millionaire. I mean, I'm not going to lie, my financial situation here is much better than I probably ever would have been in Poland, which I don't really know because it's been 20 years. Poland has improved a lot, but when I left, it was really, really bad with jobs, and the money you were making was basically, I couldn't live on the money I was making. So it was really hard. And now I see the same thing happening, to everyone else that was happening to me in Poland. I was having 2 jobs. I was also going to college, and I couldn't sometimes afford to buy socks, and I was going to work without socks, just wearing my sneakers, and then half the month I couldn't afford food, and then what I was doing, I was jumping in between my parents and my boyfriend's parents, who were divorced. So like one time we went and eat dinner at his mom's, and then at his dad's, and then we would go to my parents, because we couldn't afford food. Like there was 2 people working, but we were making so little money, it was crazy. And now it's happening here, and I don't want that. I don't want that for people here, because I went through that, and this is why I left. And
nobody here should be going through that anyways, Agnes.
do
No way. And that's what
we need to do better. And I know with the money and with all the taxes that the government is receiving, I believe that there could be changes made to improve people's lives,
there's plenty of things to do, Agnes, to improve your life. Another thing, I get people on health and wellness. I mean, they want to medicate people, get people into more health and fitness. Going to the gym, I myself, I lost over 33 pounds. I was.
Wow, nice.
I hurt my back. You start eating right, but you have to worry about your eating, and what you take. But it's also about mental stability, because when you're working out, you're more focused and more disciplined to do what you have to do. Because again, 7 years ago to now is a big change in my life. I said the court system they really took a hurting on me. I mean, I didn't know if I was gonna lose my house because I was struggling, so much to get the kids.
Financially, yeah.
It was tough, but thank God, knock on wood, I always had faith, and I was always in a good business, with finance, and my pension helped me out, the small pension, but it helped me out, and I just kept, like you said, we just keep trying, and every day I got up, I just kept going, 2 jobs, and then in between with I had 2 little kids then. My son was 4, then my daughter was like 2, and one was coming out of diapers, one was going in diapers, and I went back to college. So I would put them to sleep because they wanted to go to bed without me, because they were little.
Yeah.
And I would get up in the middle of the night and I would do papers. And I was out of school for 30 years. I had no clue what APA, none of this stuff meant. So it was rough. But you know what?
Yeah.
Do what you have to do. You stay disciplined and you stay focused. And that's why I'm with this race. I have no fear. You know what? I have a great life. Honestly, I really do. This is only going to be one more something better where I could really help people. People say, what happens if you lose? I said, well, if I didn't run, I lost.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do I? She had to run against somebody, right? Or whoever.
Yeah.
So it's an election. If people like you resonate, they're going to vote for you. And you know what? But if you stay home and don't run, how do you know?
Yeah, I mean,
There's-
I believe we do have a chance. We just have to get out and vote. We cannot just sit there and be like, oh,
You heard us
let's
this year.
decide. I don't know what to do. I'm not interested in politics, this and that and the other thing. I mean, you have to be interested. You have to listen to people. You have to understand that, things are getting really tough. And you mentioned homelessness, and I'm just like, when you have a single mom, let's say working, one of those low income jobs, and whenever she has the kids, and what about the guy just disappeared, right? How is she going to afford $2,000 rent?
Nobody can.
When it was 1,200, I mean, okay. When it was like 800-900, cool, you can afford that easily, right? You like, fine, like couple weeks of my paycheck are gonna go to rent, and then the next couple will go to food and whatever else. So you were making it by. But now if your whole entire paycheck is going to rent,
payment,
people are losing their apartments. And I did cook for some homeless people around here in New Britain, and this is how I usually get to know that someone is in need, because they post on Facebook on the groups, on the city group, and there was a lady who was like begging. Basically, she was like, I'm in a hotel with my kids, with my 3 kids, we have nothing to eat, can someone spare something to eat? And I was just like, I can't imagine being homeless, like not having my own home. Like, so I made dinner for her for 4 days, and they actually had food for 8 days because they saved some,
Yeah. Well,
and
you
then
make
she
pierogies?
No, I didn't make pierogies. Those are really tough to make, especially after work. There's not much time to make pierogies from scratch. So, but I cooked some pasta and rice, and chicken and stuff like that. What I had in my fridge. But I mean, I cannot afford to feed someone for a whole entire month. I mean, the family of 4. That's like an cost. But I'm one of these people. When I see that someone really needs something and they are really struggling extremely hard, I will help them. Because you never know. You can't be
supposed to help somebody. You're supposed to pay it forward. If you have something, you should help somebody else. And it's tough. I teach my kids. I'm always see somebody pass some money. You go. One time I saw a guy down on his luck. I went to McDonald's and bought a bunch of food. And my son's like, Dad, you're always doing stuff like that. I said, you better do the same thing when you get older.
Yeah.
Because I know it is to be down and out. You got no, and I don't want people to feel like that. It's not, whatchamacallit, it's not the right way to be. So,
yeah.
Always help somebody. Always make somebody laugh and be humble. That's what I tell everybody. And when I get down there, Washington's not going to know what to do with me.
We have an extremely great candidate, so I met you, I met George Austin, and I met Jonathan DeBarros. You probably heard about him.
I know John.
Yeah, so those are the so far 3 of you I talked that are running for 2026, and the closer the election, we'll definitely talk again. I just wanted to kind of make sure that I put some information out, and whenever someone punches your name, like this podcast is going to come up, and they can just get to know you a little better, listen what you have to say, what are your views are, how you feel about things. And let's definitely try to push Connecticut to be.
We got to get together. We got to make changes. We got to make changes with these.
Yes. Listen,
and we have to get people. Well, I'm sorry.
I looked at. I know my microphone is not that great for some reason. Whenever I want to say something, people can't hear me. I looked at Florida condos today in the morning, and I was just like, I am so upset with this election. I looked at the condo. It was in West Palm Beach, $130,000,
Yeah, but
three
whack out for the
bedroom.
HOA fees because they'll
Yeah,
cost
it
you
was
more.
$600,
That's
but the price 130,000 is not something you can buy here in Connecticut. There's just no prices like
I didn't
this.
buy a mailbox for that.
Exactly, and I'm like, hmm. If I rented this apartment where I am right now and moved, I would be making money. So that would cover the cost of the mortgage and it would cover the HOA, and I would still have some money left over. And I just was like, oh my God, like, can I just please have some Republican agenda going on in my life? Because it is so hard. People around me are just kind of like depressing. They're not happy, they're depressing. And
And winter
even though
time's
I
coming.
hang out with patriots, but
Agnes, and winter time's coming. It's getting dark earlier. People can't stand it. I hate these
yeah,
time changes. I don't know why we do them. It takes me like 2 days to get back to normal. I wake up in like 4:35. I used to try to get to the gym in the morning, and then
yeah,
start work and everything, and run around like I said. But it's different. But I really do appreciate you having me on. Getting
yeah, absolutely,
last talking
absolutely.
with you. You got a lot. You got a lot of right ideas over there. We think a lot alike. So
Yeah,
we appreciate you pushing our names out because it's tough. One of the hardest things running in Connecticut is getting any airtime. I've been fortunate enough to be on like Lisa Wexler, Vinnie Penn, and a lot of over the years through politics. I got to meet them, and it's hysterical when I told Vinnie Penn I was running. He's like, "Are you kidding me? Call him tomorrow." So he had me on the show. Vinny's
yeah,
a guy, helps out a lot of people. Tries to get. He's got a pretty good, following, and so it's really nice to get on him. Gary Byron's another classic. I see Gary a lot in the mornings with Joe.
mhm.
So we're getting there. You help people. Like I said, if you need me to help in anything, you have my contact information. So just let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best way is just getting out and talking to people. I am a little disappointed because none of the people that ran for mayor in New Britain, I was not able to get to speak with them.
Now you
I
know what happened with
invited,
her? She thought Aaron was going to get her in. She
so
figured
I invited her on my podcast,
the
and
girl or Aaron. Would you invite
no,
Aaron?
the Republican
Oh,
lady,
I don't know.
Karen, yeah. And so I had one of my closest friends who went to the fundraiser for her and then for Aaron. So he gave her my phone number and said, get on a podcast with Agnes. I do have a lot of people, a lot of Polish people on Facebook that they do follow, and so they are all mostly in New Britain.
Estonia used to have a big Polish population at one time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I was disappointed. She did not come on the podcast. And I mean, at this point, it can't really hurt you, just to speak with someone.
Everywhere is good to get on. You get different crowds of people get in, and somebody said, "Oh, I was on Polish Agnes's thing. I met and then you look up, and then they say your friend." So I even go out of district. Like if you're in another district and somebody you go,
Yeah.
you're getting to know everybody. You're trying to help. I was in Danbury for something not recently. It's not my district, but who cares? Other people are running. You try to help out and you try to donate. I mean, because it's tough. A lot of people don't donate, and I always try to help. Win, lose, or draw.
Mhm.
At least you give them some kind of ammunition for that person to fight.
Yeah.
Again,
About the donation. So I always donate to everyone that is always coming on my podcast. So I am going to do that right after we're done talking because I don't have my wallet on me right now. But if we were to donate to you, because that was my next thing,
on my website, you'll see the donation link.
Exactly. Right here, it says donate now, support the change, right?
Yeah.
And then you do have possibility of picking how much you want to donate.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah,
always do the $25.
I,
That's what I can afford. So I will donate 25 to you.
I
And
appreciate
then
that.
you can, yeah, and then you can also cover the processing fee. So I always do that too. So you don't have to pay the fee,
Oh
from that.
my treasurer is funny. He thinks that we're getting. I tell him, I go, Don, you got to spend. When the money comes, we got to spend it. He's always worried about like where to save. I said, Don, this is a campaign.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, but I don't want to pay. Don, you got it. Let's go. He watches the money like it's our, which they got. We have to. You got to be really, really strict. But
Yeah.
I tell him all the time, Don, just make sure that we have enough, and because I guess radio ads are next for me. I'm going to start working on radio ads. I think next week or the week after. I'll be talking to Gary in the morning shows and doing some stuff there. But like I tell everybody, $25 is plenty when you have 1,000 people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
1,000 followers and friends, and that's what you want. You want the working people to help you, because the working people are the ones you're going to DC for, and and change, make change for them. That's the goal. And
Where
2
did
terms and
my
I'm done.
I can't see where
Did you go all the way down to the bottom?
did I share it?
Yeah, you got it. Right, it says it.
I don't think I clicked the right web page.
That should be it. That should be on that all the way .org, right? Did you go to
Okay, this one, and then donate. Oh, did it show? It's not showing.
Go all the way down. Scroll down for a second. Should be able to scroll down. It's been working. I hope yeah, scroll. No, you on that? No, you're not in the right. Are you on the .org?
Yes, but you know what? When I'm clicking on that donate now, it's not showing up, on the screen.
Oh, go all the way down. Scroll down to the bottom of it.
Hold on. I gotta turn off those web pages now, and then I'm gonna try to share it again.
Yeah. You got Lancia for Congress 2026.org. I'm actually doing it here.
Okay, donate
Yeah, work
today.
here on mine. Comes right up.
Let me see if I can share it this way. I already clicked on the donate today share.
It'll come up.
Oh, there we go. Now it works.
Yeah,
All right. Yes. You still see it? Yeah, perfect. So 25 is jumping now. I don't know. It did not let me click on the donate, and then it didn't want to show this one, but now I got it. So as you guys can see, you can donate 25, 50, 100. And if you are from Connecticut, we really appreciate if you help us push the candidates that really want to care about people, and change something so our lives are better. So we have to make sure that we let them run their campaign. And unfortunately, everything is costly. You have to have your signs. You have to have your loan signs,
Sure.
made, because, a lot of people just go with the names from the loan signs. They don't even sometimes know the candidate, and they have no clue who to pick. So they just read the signs, and that's how they.
What
that's
size
how they
hoodie?
roll.
What size hoodie?
Yeah. So we're gonna do the $25 here, and then you click on 25, unless you want something else, so you can put order, and then you also click I would like to cover the processing fee, and then you go down, and then you click donate right here. It will be $26.03. You gotta punch your card and stuff like that. So hopefully you get some donations with this little string here.
You gotta text me your size for a hoodie. I got a hoodie for you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, let me know, and I either mail them to or I meet up with people. I give them out. It's no big deal. I got a hoodie for you, Lancia for Congress. So just email me what your size for it, and I'll get it to you. I give everywhere I go. I gave out about 500 shirts. I did over 150 signs. Because I've been buying stuff as you go, and you get out. But they've been robbing my signs.
Really?
Already. Yeah, you know what's funny? After Monday's election, Tuesday's election, I figured they waited. I was going to go pick the signs up and drop them off at the headquarters they had. All my signs were gone. They even took mine. I said, well, I hope they put it in the front lawn.
Yeah.
They were taking the signs back for themselves. So I called the guy that put the sign. I said, what? He goes, no, I got it from my house. I said, all right, whatever. Let me know, and I'll get that to you.
So what I'm planning to do, it's although it's not your district, but for the Polish community here, a little bit closer towards the election of the 26th, I am planning on organizing an event for mostly Polish people around here. And I'm going to, translate it, speak in Polish so everyone can understand, because there's still a lot of people that don't speak English. It's funny. They're here for like 30 years, but they still really
They're in
didn't
their own
learn.
community,
And
Agnes.
I want to help them, register to vote. I want to help them register to vote, and I want to also present, who is running for Congress and who do they can pick, and what the candidates are about, because if you don't understand English, most of them just don't go vote, and because they don't know for who they're supposed to vote, and so that's where a lot of problems we're running into with low
Voter
turnout for the elections, and so I want to organize something like that. And then also you have a lot of Polish community in Stratford, you have them in Milford as well. There is a lot of Polish people there, and I know some of them even, so
We got to
maybe
get them
somehow.
registered Republican, though. We got to get them registered. We got to get them to the polls.
Yes, we do. We
Big
have
thing,
to
Megan.
we have to focus, and I will be advocating for registering to vote for sure. I'm gonna start this whenever I get my motivation back after this election.
You're working two jobs, and you're doing it. You know what? I waited until I've been taking these over the weekend. I got the wedding and all that stuff, and let everybody absorb what happened. And then
Yeah.
starting Monday, I start going back.
Yeah.
I was all over the place, all over Facebook, social media. At events. Like I
Yeah.
went. Nobody's ever been in a parade. And I'm like, I went to 2 parades.
Well,
Last year.
this is where I found you. You came on my TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling. My TikTok is 100% political now. It's my algorithm is politics.
You
That's
can't
it.
be you can't be obsessed with it because it'll make you crazy, and then you get burnt out. So you still got to go.
I know.
Have a little bit of
so
fun.
funny.
Go out to dinner, go to the gym. There's a lot. Read a book. I mean, it's part of your life, not all your life. And
No, absolutely. It's not like that's all my life. That's all
I know
I'm
some
doing.
people. That's all they know. That's all. It's like they go, "What happens if you lose?" They tell me. You know what happens when they lose? I go see my kids in the morning. I go to work.
Yeah.
I help out who I can help out. Maybe I'll run
Yeah.
again. It's not. I want it. I didn't come here to lose. It's the reason why. Like I said, but you got to run. You can't be scared. It is what it is. What's the worst thing that happened? I lose. It's like people. It's like asking out somebody on a date. What are they gonna say? Yeah or no? You know what I mean? It's just you got a 50-50 shot. So you might as well take it. And I think it's a good time to beat her. She's not going to be easy. I don't care how long, how old. There's a machine there, and it's going to take a lot of grinding. Every day. That's just going to take. Every day I get up, I'm doing something different.
Yes, and something productive.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I think we exhausted a lot of topics. We've been going for over 2.5 hours. And, to be honest, I can talk forever. And there's a lot more that needs.
I'm told that's why I can keep going. I'm a Gemini, so we're all over. I can jump from topic to topic and keep going back. So have a lot of fun. Yeah. But send me your hoodies, guys, and where it can go, and I'll get it to you. I do appreciate you having me on here. I really do.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely come on again anytime.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everyone who came on today and participated in chat. Whoever listened, whoever is from Connecticut, make sure that you guys donate. And if you are from the District 3, make sure in the 2026 you go out and vote. And if you don't know how to register, you need to send me a message and I will help you register to vote. It's not that big of a deal. It's just a few questions. Yeah, and you can do that online. And thank you so much. And we will definitely, Chris, talk again. I'm pretty sure I may see you somewhere around or some Patriot meetups or something like that. I always.
If you know about an event, let me know. You got my information. Just text me. I love to get out. Like I said, now that the locals are done and by next week everybody will be out of shock. and now I got to hit the ball rolling. So if you have any events or something like this, just text me and let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are asking me a lot to post some stuff, because there is a following, that I carry with this channel and Facebook, and then whenever I can, I always go out and try to live stream, but work, unfortunately, sometimes has to, come first because the mortgage.
We already talked about the homeless part. Neither one of us want to be. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be pretty sad, that I worked for all this and then became homeless. That's not an option. Yeah, it's not an option.
exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone who has joined us. Make sure you like the video. If you stayed with us this whole entire time, you make sure you click the thumbs up. You also subscribe to Polish Agnes, because we will be coming on with political stuff a lot more. And then make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That will give you always a time when I'm coming on. I always try to schedule those streams earlier so everyone knows that we're coming on. And as I said, we will definitely make sure that we come up with some more political stuff and we explain to everyone very soon online how to register yourself to vote, because I think that's extremely important. And please, guys, make sure you make it to next election. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, one more thing I want to ask you guys is to go and subscribe to my best friend Kimberly Sweet. Her channel is posted in the chat, in YouTube chat. She is running the streams with birds, so she is on basically 24/7. And if you're looking to put something as your background, that will be the perfect channel for you. So make sure you subscribe and say hi to her from me. And right now I'm saying good night to everyone, and hopefully everyone is going to be in a better spirits after this election. I know we kind of lost a lot here of the seats in Connecticut, but hopefully 2026 is going to be better. I need to get motivated. I really do. Take care. Bye.